In the year 2035, the demons who called themselves gods descended for the first time. A gateway opened between Earth and the divine realm. Gods and demons once again descended upon this world they had long forgotten. They came with nothing but malevolent intent. Wherever they went, destruction followed. Countless lives were crushed beneath their feet. 7 years after their descent, Japan fell. For years later, Korea was destroyed. 15 years after the descent, the great walls of Dacia crumbled. The arrival of the gods brought nothing but pain and loss. Humanity formed the god-slaying core. But in the end, they too were annihilated. And yet, one man survived. He sent a monster flying, the impact kicking up a cloud of dust and rock. But he looked utterly exhausted. Leaning on his sword, he faced the divine beast slowly advancing toward him. His face darkened as he spoke. Even if I'm the only one left, I still have to protect this land. With that, he charged forward, roaring, "Before you lies Dacia, gods and demons shall go no further." He soared into the sky, sword drawn back, and threw every last ounce of his strength into a final charge against the colossal horde. Blood splattered everywhere. In the end, he too was slain. Suddenly, his eyes shot open. He was completely stunned. Still dazed, he glanced out the window. Then his eyes fell on his desk at a photo of him and his brother. Startled, he shot up in bed, wondering in confusion. Didn't I die? Is this my room? The alarm on his phone, lying on the bed, blared. It was 6:50 a.m. He picked up his phone, his eyes wide with shock. He slapped his forehead in disbelief. What in the world is happening? Then, as if struck by a sudden realization, he leaped out of bed and rushed to the window. He thought to himself, could it be? He ripped the curtains open. Before him was a peaceful scene, with no sign of the slaughter he remembered. Through the window pane, he gazed up at the clear blue sky and a flock of birds, murmuring, "The sky is still blue. Does this mean I've returned to a time before the gods descended?" Just then, a system window named Ninth Heaven's Court suddenly appeared. Activation successful. He heard the voice and cried out. What was that sound? The system continued its display. Loading. Download complete. Utterly bewildered, he looked around frantically. Then he shouted again. Who's there? Who's talking? In an instant, he was transported to another space. Hundreds of cranes soared through the sky. A colossal statue and a plaque bearing the words Southern Heavenly Gate came into view. He stared in awe. He wondered, the Southern Heavenly Gate? He looked up, stunned, and stammered. Don't tell me this place is the Heavenly Palace? Did I somehow infiltrate the Heavenly Palace after being reborn? That would explain it. After the gods descended, the Western gods and demons ran rampant, but the Eastern deities were nowhere to be seen. At this, a realization dawned on him, which means surrounding him were imposing statues of the Eastern deities. He looked up and continued. The secret of Dacia's gods, it's been here all along. Suddenly, two beams of light shot out from statue's eyes, straight toward him. Zap! A blazing red spiritual energy instantly enveloped him. He clutched his head in agony, a thought screaming through his mind. So much information, flooding into my mind. It feels like my head is going to explode. He gripped his head tighter and screamed, Anicap! Then a brilliant beam of power pulled him upward. He was helpless to resist, floating along with the current. With it, the Ninth Heaven's Court system appeared once more. Initiating host synchronization. His body was assaulted by the energy. Pain racked his limbs as blood poured from them unceasingly. The system announced, reconfiguring host body. Instantly, long strips of cloth flew from nowhere, wrapping around him to form a large cocoon. The system continued, reconfiguring strength, reconfiguring agility, reconfiguring endurance. After a moment, the reconfiguration was finally complete. He then burst from the cocoon, suspended in midair. A final notification appeared from the system. Host synchronization successful. He emerged from the swirling mist, his eyes completely transformed. One side blazed with brilliant gold, the other with fiery red. He landed, bracing himself on the ground, struggling to catch his breath. Everything had gone exactly as he'd planned. A triumphant smile spread across his face. So this is it. The Ninth Heaven system is why I was reborn, and I can feel my body overflowing with power. The Ninth Heaven Court has 9 levels. Each one seals the power of an ancient god. He walked over to the gate, tapping it lightly as he continued. As long as I can successfully enter the corresponding heavenly palace, I'll be able to inherit the power of the gods sealed within. But to open a heavenly palace, I have to slaughter gods and demons and collect their divine power. At that moment, a glimmer of understanding sparked within him. He gazed forward, his voice filled with newfound confidence. Perfect. I still don't know all the details, but with the ninth heaven court, I'll have a fighting chance when Godfall begins. Bring it on. In this life, I will protect everything. Suddenly, his sister pushed open the door, looking at him with a puzzled expression. Bro? Her voice snapped him back to reality. He turned to look at his little sister. She hugged a teddy bear, rubbing her sleepy eyes. What for breakfast? I'm hungry. This is Ing Bao Bao, a second grader at Fei Ling Elementary School. Fei Ling. Seeing her, he turned in shock. My sister. His mind flashed back to his previous life. A demon god's sharp, iron claw had pierced straight through her stomach. All he could do was watch, completely powerless to save her. He looked up, his eyes wide with helpless horror. Ing Bao Bao, mortally wounded, used her last breaths to speak. Bro, run. Tears streamed down his face as he screamed her name. He collapsed to his knees, cradling her broken body. Ag. Back in the present. He bolted toward his sister. He ran, his thoughts a desperate whisper. I'm sorry, Bao Bao. In our last life, I couldn't protect you. This time, I won't let a single god or demon in this world lay a finger on you. He dropped to his knees and pulled Ing Bao Bao into a tight embrace, startling her. Bao Bao asked, confused. Bro? What's wrong? His face darkened as he trembled. It's nothing. I was just thinking about some sad things. As he spoke, a steely resolve formed in his mind. This time, I refuse to let that tragedy happen again. Bao Bao's voice echoed through the apartment. Oh, I get it, bro. If you really don't want to go to school, we can just skip today. The scene changes to a large, imposing building. Central War Zone Command Headquarters. Inside, an officer on the phone turned to report with urgency. Reporting, Commander. A call is coming in on the secure emergency line. The man addressed as Commander turned. Line 1. He strode over, reaching for the phone. Isn't that a dedicated direct line? Is it an urgent order from Central Command? The other officer replied. No, sir. It's a personal call, patched through from a normal residential complex. Back at the siblings' apartment, Ing Bao Bao waved goodbye, a piece of bread in her hand. Okay, I'm off to school. You just stay home and get some rest today, okay? He waved back from inside, holding his phone to his ear, waiting for the other end to pick up. The commander answered the call. His voice was stern and professional. Hello, this is Chong Hu Shun. Please state your identity. This was General Chong Hu Shun, commander of the Central War Zone. The young man on the other end replied calmly. General Chong, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. His voice dropped, growing heavier. But I believe the information I have is worth a moment of your time. The call ended. Moments later, military aircraft streaked across the sky high above. The air crackled with tension. Shortly after, at the main character's residential complex, a man in uniform presented his credentials and official papers to the security guard. His expression was grim. Apologies for the sudden intrusion. We have already notified the relevant authorities and received clearance. Up on an apartment balcony, a pink-haired girl looked down, her eyes wide with surprise at the sight of so many soldiers. She called out to her mother, Mom, come look. There are so many soldiers. Her mother came over, puzzled. Soldiers? Down below, residents gathered, murmuring amongst themselves as the heavily armed troops fanned out. What's going on in our neighborhood? Whatever it is, this looks serious. How terrifying. Did something happen here? A man looked over at him, puzzled. Huh? He watched as the young man approached the soldiers. He spoke as he walked forward. Let me through. Seeing his calm confidence, the crowd kept murmuring among themselves. Who is that? Are they here for him? No way. Did he commit a crime or something? If he was a criminal, he would have been long gone by now. The man in the vest saw him approach and spoke up. Are you Ing Che? The commander is waiting for you. And there you have it, folks. Our protagonist's name is Ing Che. Oh, my God. Ing Che stepped forward and replied. Let's go. Every second from here on out is precious. The man in the vest gestured toward the car. This way, please. On the sidewalk, a white-haired girl gasped when she saw Ing Che's face. Oh my God, he's so handsome. With a look of pure desire, she continued. So he's one of those hidden gems? The girl next to her added, I can't believe such a big shot was hiding out here. On the way to meet the military district commander, Ingche was lost in thought. The underground city of steel, the god-slaying army. I need to hurry. There's so much to do. Thankfully, in humanity's war against the gods and demons, I won't have to fight alone. He pieced together his memories. While writing them all down, the scene shifts to the military headquarters. Commander Chang Hushan walked in, followed by a young woman. She closed the door and began her report. Ingche, 17, grew up in an orphanage. He and his younger sister, Ing Bao Bao, have relied on each other since they were children. She stepped closer to the commander and continued. From what we've gathered, he's had a completely normal life. No psychological abnormalities, no criminal record. Chang Hushan, looking perplexed, spoke. Then you tell me, how could an ordinary person like him know about my military strategy? The young woman replied, as if stating the obvious. In that case, there's only one possibility. Our military intelligence has been leaked. This woman is his aide-de-camp, Wang Zifen. Hearing this, General Chang Hushan's expression turned grim. Leaking military secrets is a capital offense. This is not a simple matter. Until the truth is revealed, don't jump to conclusions. Continue the investigation. Wang Zifen replied crisply to Chang Hushan. Yes, sir. After speaking with Wang Zifen, Chang Hushan headed to the elevator to meet Ingche. Meanwhile, Ingche was waiting in a room. He gazed down at the city through the glass. Lost in deep thought, horrifying visions from his past life flooded his mind. The sky filled with roaring flames and smoke, followed by piercing, desperate screams. Gasp! The heartbreaking sounds of weeping. These memories constantly resurfaced, strengthening his resolve to save this world. A moment later, Chang Hushan arrived. He opened the door and stepped into the room. He spoke as soon as he entered. You're Ingche? Ingche snapped out of his thoughts and turned to face Chang Hushan. General Chang. Chang Hushan walked over to a chair, sat down, and placed Ingche's file on the table. Then he spoke. Sit. You have 5 minutes. With a grim expression, Chang Hushan began to question Ingche. You first. How did you get this number? Ingche stood and walked forward as he answered. I don't just know that number. I also know a great deal of top-secret information that the military has never disclosed. I also know that in the near future, our country, and indeed the entire world, will be plunged into a massive crisis. When that happens, the military might of every nation on Earth will be utterly powerless. Commander Chang let out a surprised, "Oh." Ingche continued, I know. This is very difficult for you to believe. He then continued, his tone deadly serious. However, in this war, the enemies we will face are gods and demons from a divine realm. They will tear through the sky to reach Earth and begin the slaughter of humankind. Commander Chang listened, thinking for a long moment before finally speaking. If you came here just to spout this nonsense, you can leave now. Ingche suddenly held up 5 fingers. 5 billion. Commander Chang frowned, confused. Ingche looked at Chang Hushan and continued. After the gods and demons invade Earth, they will commit countless atrocities, and about 5 billion people will die as a result. Only then will the world's nations finally organize to fight back. But by then, it will be too late. Seeing his confidence, Chang Hushan challenged him. Give me one reason why I should believe you. Ingche sat down and spoke calmly. In a few days, a massive fire will break out in the city's West District. It will be known as the 508 Jiangzhou incident. If you act now, you can save over 200 lives. He reached into his bag while speaking. Also, he placed the notebook he'd just written in on the table. General, I need you to go to this location and retrieve something for me first. Then I'll give you proof that the gods exist. That evening, back at the apartment he shared with his sister, juggling a bag of groceries with one hand, he took off his shoes with the other. He called out, I'm home. Ing Bao Bao, munching on a bag of chips, looked up and questioned him. Where'd you been? You're so late. I'm starving. Putting his shoes away, Ingche replied sincerely. Sorry. I got held up with something today. Good thing the market was still open. Hang on. I'll go make dinner right now. He felt a cold sweat as his sister stared him down. It all still feels like a dream. I almost forgot I have a little sister to come home to. Water dripped from a faucet onto heads of cabbage in the sink. In the kitchen, Ingche prepared their dinner. His eyes were on the simmering pot, but his mind was elsewhere. There are about 2 months left until the first ascent. If I'm going to protect my sister, I need to be much more prepared. He definitely added more ingredients to the pot, stirring rhythmically. But his thoughts kept returning to the heavenly palace. And then there's the system. After that one successful activation, it's gone completely silent. Opening the heavenly palace requires the power of a god or demon. But I can't kill one of them yet. Not without the blade of the war god. Right now, I'm just an ordinary guy with a little bit of combat skill. Steam billowed from the pot, shrouding his handsome face and the determined look in his eyes. Looks like it's time to go to that place. Sunlight streamed into the cozy apartment. With a full stomach from her brother's cooking, Ing Bao Bao was already sound asleep. She mumbled in her dreams. So full, can't eat another bite. Ing Che sat by her bedside. After making sure she was fast asleep, he gently placed a note on her forehead. To my dear sister, I have to go away for a little while. I've already talked to Annie Zhang next door. You can eat at her place for the next few days. Don't worry about me. I'll be back soon. Love, your big brother. Beneath a clear sky where birds soared freely, stood a wooden structure carefully fenced off. A sign on the iron gate read, Important archaeological site. Authorized personnel only. Somehow, Ing Che had already made his way inside. He stood at the top of a deep stairway leading down into the earth, blocked by a safety rope. Of course, that didn't stop Ing Che. He lifted the rope, ducked under, and descended the stairs. The stairs opened into a massive cavern, dotted with excavation pits and markers. A patrolling guard with a flashlight stopped, thinking he heard a noise. Clank! He grunted inquisitively, sweeping his flashlight beam across the darkness. His light swept past a large sign. Historical excavation site, preservation area. Ing Che also sensed something and froze. He turned his head. The flashlight from his phone still pointed ahead. I found it. I found it. The skeleton of a god. Illuminated by his phone was a massive skeleton, seated atop a throne of skulls. Its limbs were unnaturally long. The entire thing was draped in thick, white cobwebs. He moved closer to the skeleton. The light landed on its skull, which had only 2 empty eye sockets, lacking a nose or mouth, as he began to remember. In my past life, I stumbled upon this place by chance during a crisis. It was here, among the bones of this dead god, that I earned the recognition of the blade of the war god. That was how I gained the power to fight back against them. He brushes the cobwebs from a worn leather case. Suddenly, the silence is broken by the crackle of shifting bones. The sound draws nearer and nearer. At the same time, it reactivates the system. A warning alarm blares from the system. Divine demonic energy detected. Startled, he whips his head around toward the sound. A massive, skeletal creature, half human, half spider, is charging straight for him. The system screen flashes with information, a legendary monster. Once a beautiful woman in life, she merged with a venomous spider in death, becoming a fearsome spider demoness. Class: Fallen Celestial Bride. On its spider-like skull are 2 large, orange orbs, each with a thin black slit down the middle. They bulge out like grotesque eyes. A row of similar, smaller orbs runs all the way from its neck down its torso. Its mouth hangs open, a mess of sharp fangs revealing a blood-red gullet. Ing Che stares at the monster, his mind racing with disbelief. Why is something like this here? The gods aren't supposed to have descended yet. The monster's sharp-clawed legs slash at him in a blur, one after another. He stumbles and falls, scrambling to dodge the sudden onslaught. His hand brushes against a bone on the ground. Another sharp claw comes hurtling toward him. I have no other choice. Forgive me for this. With that, he grabs the bone and strikes back at the creature. He then heaves the rest of the skeleton at the monster. The bones shatter on impact, but the monster is completely unscathed. As the bones strike, the black slit in the orange orb on its body widens. Seeing that it had no effect, Ing Che grips a remaining divine bone tightly and leaps high into the air with all his might, stabbing straight at the creature. He aimed for the largest eye on its chest, but the bone doesn't even pierce the surface. Panic flashes in his eyes. Its hide is really this tough. Not even a divine bone can break its defense. Looks like I need to find a martial godblade, and fast. The monster lets out a pained screech. His panic turns to alarm as he speaks. Hey, keep it down. We're in deep trouble if the guards hear you. Sure enough, 2 guards on patrol nearby hear the commotion and come running. There's a noise inside. We got intruder. He radios his report. Calling HQ. Intruder in the undeveloped archaeological zone. Requesting backup. The enraged monster shrieks, spitting several wads of webbing from its mouth. Ing-che deftly dodges. He curses under his breath. Damn it, this spider wasn't here in my past life. He swings the bone, deflecting a wad of silk flying toward him. Instantly, the bone sizzles and corrodes where it touched the silk, releasing a plume of green smoke. His thoughts race. This silk can even corrode a divine bone. His brow furrows. His eyes widen. His face a mask of panicked dread. He sees the monster swing its leg for another attack. He grips the bone fragment with both hands to block. Under the monster's powerful blow, the corroded bone snaps in two. Ing-che is sent flying backward. He skids across the floor until he hits something, a pile of skulls. He finds himself back where the divine skeleton once lay. A fallen celestial bride class. If I were at my peak in my past life, I could have ended this with a single blow. He looks up at the monster in the distance and sighs. A dragon stranded in shallow water is toyed with by shrimp, and a tiger on the plains is bullied by dogs. He clenches his fist, ready to fight, but then his eyes catch sight of a blade half buried in the pile of skulls behind him. A system notification pops up. Masterless blade. Originally the treasured weapon of the great Siam martial god, the martial god blade. After the martial god's death, it entered a sealed state, becoming the masterless blade. The masterless blade constantly emits divine demonic energy. Over time, it can cause surrounding life forms to mutate, turning them into divine husks. The fallen celestial bride bares its fangs and lunges. It brings its claws crashing down where Ing-che was. The impact creates a small crater. Dust and debris fill the air. But Ing-che had already leaped aside. He stands, gripping the martial god blade, and speaks with newfound confidence. "Heh, now it's my turn, you filthy spider." He runs his hand along the blade's edge. Drawing a line of blood, he shouts, "Claim your master." Instantly, the blade begins to glow. It erupts with a colossal aura of power. He spun the blade in a circle. The surge of power caught him by surprise. He wondered, strange, did claiming it in my past life cause such a powerful reaction? The feeling grew stronger and stronger. He found himself in an orange space, overflowing with that same power. The blade in his hand had vanished. He cried out in a panic, "Where's my blade? I have been waiting for you for a very long time." A deep voice echoed from behind him. He turned around, completely bewildered. There he saw a tall, shadowy figure. Majestic, powerful, resting a hand on the martial god blade. This was the source of that immense power. The shadow introduced itself. "I am the last will of the martial god left in this world." As for him, Ing-che was still in awe. He muttered to himself, "The martial god, his final will?" The shadow ignored his shock. It continued, its tone regal. "There is not much of my divine power left. If you had arrived any later, I fear I would have faded completely." Snapping back to his senses, he quickly asked, "Wait a minute. Does that mean I was too late in my past life, and the divine power had already dissipated? But being exposed to its lingering aura was still enough to cause a mutation. No wonder I never encountered this before." The shadow raised its index finger, conjuring a small, fingertip-sized orb of light. This is the culmination of the martial god's lifetime of cultivation. Not just his techniques and insights, but his profound understanding of the martial path itself. The shadow's finger began to twirl. The small, golden orb expanded with it, forming an incredibly potent force. It flew towards Ing-che and enveloped his entire body. Lifting him off his feet, the shadow spoke its final words to him. "You must train diligently. Only by combining theory with practice can you truly master the martial god blade. When that day comes, you will not only achieve victory on the battlefield, but you will also advance further than ever imagined on the path of the martial arts." After he absorbed all the divine power, his feet slowly touched the ground, and he returned to the real world. "So that's how it is. I understand now." He held the martial god blade in his hand. A golden aura of power radiated from him. Before him stood the monster, the Luo Xin Fu. His thoughts still resonated with the martial god's will. To start over in this life, not only did I get the martial god blade, but I also inherited his entire martial path. Things are getting interesting. His eyes still closed. He made a firm promise before fully returning to reality. Rest assured, Senior, I will not disappoint you. The Demonis opened its massive maw, filled with sharp teeth. Its 8 legs propelled it forward. Ingche's eyes, once green, suddenly flashed gold, his pupils vanishing. He said, Wavebreaker slash. In the blink of an eye, Ingche, blade in his right hand, swung with blinding speed and effortlessly sliced through. The Demonis. Fragments of mist scattered everywhere. He landed with his arms outstretched, one knee slightly bent. A notification panel appeared. Successfully eliminated the Luo Xin Fu. Attribute points. +1. Another notification followed. Each time the host eliminates a god or demon, you will receive corresponding attribute points. Attribute points can be used to enhance your personal attributes. This will gradually reforge the host's body until you achieve the state of a martial god. Next, an attribute panel with a human silhouette appeared. Please select an attribute to enhance. Remaining attribute points: 1. Strength, LV1. Agility, LV1. Stamina, LV1. Spirit, LV1. Ingche rested the blade on his shoulder. With his other hand, he navigated the screen. He was surprised. Whoa, this system has a perk like this. 1 kill, 1 point. Ingche tapped the plus button next to agility on the attribute panel. A notification appeared. Attribute points successfully allocated. Followed by another. Congratulations on your first kill of the Luo Xin Fu. Successfully abso. Acquired divine demonic power from Luo Xin Fu. First heaven of the 9-layered heavenly court, the middle heaven. Unlock progress at 10%. One of the chains on the gate of the 9-layered heavenly court has shattered. The notifications continue. Once progress reaches 100%, you will be able to enter the middle heaven. Unlock the power of the eastern deities. Cultivating in the middle heaven will rapidly increase your cultivation base and accelerate your ascension to godhood. Ingze leans forward, propping his chin on his hand. I wasn't expecting this. What? I can even speed up my cultivation in there? Another notification pops up, detecting a small amount of the martial god's divine power dispersing in the air, using the flesh, blood, and bones of the god demon Luo Xin Fu as a conduit to condense and convert the martial god's divine power. Then, another message appears. Conversion successful. Congratulations, Master. You have received an egg. A white egg with pink spots materializes. For celebratory fireworks shoot into the air. Confetti rains down everywhere. Meanwhile, elsewhere, someone shines a flashlight in their direction. 2 guards are searching for the source of the noise with their flashlights. Their beams land on an area where skulls are scattered everywhere. One of them yells, "This is bad." One of them quickly grabs his walkie-talkie. Reporting to HQ. The unexcavated bones at the archaeological site have been stolen, as they shine their lights straight at the wall. Besides the scattered skulls and bone fragments, there's only a dead pink spider lying on the ground. The man on the radio continues his report. I repeat, the unexcavated bones at the archaeological site have been stolen. Meanwhile, Ingze runs off, sword in one hand, clutching a pink-spotted white egg larger than an ostrich's. A grin spreads across Ingze's face as he thinks to himself, good thing my reflexes just got a boost. I would have been caught otherwise. He wonders, but what's inside this egg? His hand, adorned with a blue bracelet, holds the large egg tightly. Night has fallen. A crescent moon and stars now hang high in the sky. In the only house with its lights still on, Ing Bao's eyes sparkle like stars. The little girl says excitedly, Big brother, are we having an ostrich egg for dinner tonight? May 8th, 2035, 7:21 p.m. East China Sea. Coordinates, 27 degrees north latitude, 125 degrees east longitude. Amidst a raging storm, lightning cracks across the sky as a submarine is deployed into the turbulent sea. Then, the massive vessel hooks onto something white and begins to winch it out of the water. When it's fully raised, it's revealed to be a colossal, humanoid skull. It takes a network of heavy chains just to hoist it. In the pouring rain, a man with purple hair quickly takes off his coat and walks toward a silver-haired man standing near the giant skull, dwarfed by its immense size. The purple-haired man speaks. Academician Qian Minxiang. The waves are too strong. You should head back inside the ship. Lightning flashes, illuminating the entire sky. The purple-haired man drapes the coat over Qian Minxiang. Please, don't catch a cold. Your health is what's most important. Qian Minxiang, leaning on his cane, stares up in a daze. Ignoring him, he just breathes. I can't believe it. He continues. It's actually real. The wide shot reveals. The colossal skull is nearly the size of the massive ship's bow. The two men are but tiny specks in comparison. At the headquarters of the Central Theater Command, a white, rectangular building is adorned with a five-pointed star at its peak. With one hand on the table and documents in the other, Wang Zifen begins her report. Its total length exceeds 60 meters. The skull's diameter alone is 8 meters. Furthermore, its hardness surpasses all known materials, and it contains a large quantity of an unknown substance. Chang Hushan holds the report in his hand. So it really is a god? Suddenly, a uniformed officer enters the room. Reporting, Commander. Confirmed. A sudden fire just broke out in the West District. The brown-haired man saluted and began his report. Due to our enhanced fire prevention measures, the fire was extinguished promptly. There are currently no casualties. Wang Zifen and Chang Hushan looked over. He immediately asked, what was the cause? The brown-haired man remained at attention. He continued his report. The specialist team is entering the blast's epicenter for further investigation. Based on the available evidence, the unified conclusion is a meteorite impact. Wang Zifen was stunned. The light from outside cast a glow on her face, making her seem incredibly pale. What? A meteorite? Doesn't that rule out any human involvement? In contrast, Chang Hushan's face was cast in shadow, untouched by the light. He asked calmly, are you certain? The man's voice rang out. Meanwhile, at Ing Che's residence, the moon shone from behind the clouds, surrounded by twinkling stars. Footage of a fire played on the TV. Beside it, a formally dressed news anchor delivered the report. A sudden fire broke out in the West District of Jiangzhou City. Thanks to a prompt response from firefighters, there have been no reported casualties at this time. The cause of the incident is still under investigation. Ing Che sat on the sofa, polishing his sword while watching the news. So the future can be changed. Unlike in my past life, this time, the fire was put out quickly. This terrifying blaze didn't cause any significant casualties or damage. Bao Bao, clutching the egg, had fallen asleep with her head on his lap. The TV news report continued. And now, for our next story. 2 days ago, at Ancient Tomb No. 1 on Old Street, in the middle of the night, though asleep, Bao Bao was still thinking about the egg in her arms, mumbling, ostrich egg. Ing Che glanced over, surprised to see his little sister had dozed off. She's already asleep? Just then, the phone on the table began to vibrate. An unknown number was calling. Ing Che swiped to answer. Hello, Commander Chang. The next morning, the sky was clear, with flocks of birds soaring. In the middle of a vast courtyard sat a colossal skull. The skull was so large it reached past the second story of the building. It was secured by heavy chains wrapped around it. A group of people stood nearby, observing. So this is the deity you mentioned? Chang Hushan asked, looking down from the second floor. Wang Zifen stood guard beside him as always. Ing Che, sitting across from them, answered. That's right. He then pointed to the skull and continued. This is the skull of a six-winged angel. This should be enough to prove what I've told you, shouldn't it? Standing nearby, Wang Zifen was taken aback, thinking to herself. So this is the one who predicted the fire in Jiangzhou and helped the military unearth the skull of this unknown creature? He seems younger than I imagined. Ing Che then turned to Chang Hushan with a serious expression. General, what is your decision? Last time, with a fire, we saved over 200 people. In the future, we have the chance to save more than 5 billion. Chang Hushan narrowed his eyes, reading the report in his hand as he thought to himself. No matter who you are, faced with such undeniable proof, it's impossible not to be swayed. Finally, he tossed the report, which featured a picture of the skull, onto the table and issued a sharp command. Relay my orders to the entire army. The central military region is to immediately enter combat readiness. His expression was grave. I will report this to Central Command. Wang Zifen didn't obey immediately, instead voicing her concerns with a worried tone. But, Commander, even if everything he said so far is true, the idea of a divine invasion is just too bizarre. Do we really need to? That's an order. I will take full responsibility. Just then, another man walked in. When it comes to the safety of our people, there's no such thing as being too cautious. He was a tall, slender man, wearing black-rimmed glasses, holding a cup of tea in his hand. He is Jiang Chun, the guardian of the great Xia nation. Z-Fan immediately snaps to attention, raising his hand in a salute. Young man, you must be Ing Che, correct? Ing Che looks surprised. Guardian, hand me the file. He gestures to Hu Shun. Hu Shun stands and hands him the file. Guardian, why have you come here, sir? The Guardian doesn't answer, instead asking a question of his own. You just said that this giant skull in front of us belonged to a god? That's right. Guardian, this is our enemy. Ing Che says with conviction. The photo shows a grotesque skull. They will drive millions from their homes. They will stain the rivers and mountains of the great Xian nation red with blood. They will force the people of every nation to their knees, offering up their very souls. They'll become nothing more than living puppets, existing only to sing praises to their holy masters. In 15 years, human civilization will be completely wiped out. We've discovered its remains. This proves that these gods can be killed, and that one was killed right here on Earth. The Guardian quickly pieces it together. Exactly. They can be killed. Ing Che confirms. Take this S-Class, six-winged angel, for example. This S-Class, it was shot down by Ho-E 5,000 years ago, and it fell into the East Sea. Wait a second. Are you talking about the Ho-E from the legends? Hu Shin cuts in. So he was a real person? Ing Che looks at him. He was. While most of the world's myths are just fabrications left by the gods who invaded in ancient times. He pauses, then points a finger to the sky. There is one exception. An image of a god materializes. Back in ancient times, he has long hair, a human upper body, and a lower body of a serpent. He is flanked by orbs of fire, with a dragon circling him. The gods of the divine realm once invaded this world, but they were ultimately driven away by the gods of the East. The gods of the divine realm draw their strength from the faith of the races who worship them. A god floats in the sky, continuously absorbing the glowing faith of the kneeling believers below. But the Eastern gods are different. They tempered their physical bodies to the absolute peak. They transformed through their own legendary deeds and great accomplishments. A powerfully built man practices relentlessly with a spear, and in doing so, eventually ascended to godhood. Ing Che continues. Then, that raises a question. Hu Shun realizes a critical issue. If our gods truly existed back in ancient times, will they appear again to help us now? Ing Che's expression turns grim. During the Great Ancient War, most of the Eastern gods fought and fell in battle. After that, the Eastern gods faded in a legend. No one ever saw them again. In my past life, we held on to that same hope. On a brutal battlefield, hundreds of soldiers fall. Their blood soaks the earth red. Only a single creature remains standing. Its weapon and face are dripping with fresh blood. It is the thing that killed them all. But the Eastern gods never showed up for any of the fights. They never came. And in the end, the earth was destroyed. All that's left is the 9-layered heavenly court. But right now, not even the first layer of the heavenly court is open. I need to move fast and get everything I can ready for deployment. He stands before the gates of the heavenly palace. Behind him, the shadows of the Eastern gods loom. I'm afraid this time, we can only rely on ourselves. He pulls a map from his backpack. Though worried, Hu Shin also feels a flicker of anticipation. To think I get the chance to fight a god in this lifetime. Ing Che spreads the map across the table. In less than 2 months, the sea god, Poseidon, will appear. The three of them look down at the map. He pointed to a red-marked spot on the map. When the time comes, the sea god will command the ocean's monsters to join the war. And the landing point they've chosen is the west coast of the Freedom Nation and the east coast of Daxia. The entire Pacific Ocean will become a war zone. If what you're saying is true, then what do you think we should do? Jiang Jinghua humbly asked for Ing Che's opinion. To protect the people of Daxia, we must quickly build a line of defense. We can call it. He held up the file in his hand. He said gravely, the strongest surface and the ironclad allegiance. On the coast, waves lapped at the sandy shore. A crab scurried onto the beach. Ing Che stood there, a look of dazed regret on his face. Why did I have to say that at such a crucial meeting? Hu Shin put a hand on his shoulder. I've already handled your temporary leave from school. The two walked along the beach. I know. Sorry to trouble you, Commander. He sounded completely dejected. All the life had been drained from him. He asked with concern, "Why the long face all of a sudden? The strongest surface and ironclad allegiance construction project has already been given the green light. Please, don't remind me. It has to be because I just reincarnated into this body. My mouth just runs on its own sometimes." Ing-che covered his face with his hand. "Big brother." Bao Bao stood beside her sandcastle, waving to get his attention. Hushin smiled. "Your sister is adorable." He looked at Ing-che. "You must really want to protect her, huh? So what's your next move?" "Yes, I've planned for everything. The ironclad wall is a shield to protect our people. But you can't win a war with just a shield. Commander, we need god-slaying weapons," he said, "specialized personnel, and the power of defiance." He agreed without a second thought. "That's no problem. You have my full support. It's just—" He asked, curious, "I understand everything else, but what exactly is this power of defiance you mentioned?" "It is the final legacy the Eastern gods left for humanity. It will become the very sword we use to strike them down." He thought of an ancient censer with intricate patterns, radiating a mystical power. A bird swooped down, snatching the crab in its beak before flying away. "Commander, it's an emergency," a man shouted as he ran toward them. Hushin turned to face him. "What's all the commotion?" Bao Bao, with the egg strapped to her back, toddled over to Ing-che. Big brother, this place is so much fun." She happily grabbed his hand. He asked gently, "Aren't you tired after playing for so long? Come on, I'll take you home." He ruffled his sister's hair, smiling softly. "Fun," he thought. "This isn't a playground. The only reason I brought you here is because you overheard my call and wouldn't let it go. That's why we're here." Hum," she replied, unaware that her brother was complaining about her in his head. "What did you say?" Hushin's urgent tone snapped Ing-che to attention. "Shao Jia, I'm afraid you can't leave just yet." He froze. Elsewhere, a fireball streaked down from the sky at the speed of light. It slammed into the ground, causing a world-shaking explosion. Debris flew in all directions. Once the dust began to settle, a team approached the impact site, but all they found was a deep crater left in the earth. "That's strange. Where's the meteorite?" The team in hazmat suits was completely baffled. Suddenly, his pupils contracted, as if he had seen something terrifying. He let out a blood-curdling scream. By the time night fell, a military vehicle, packed with advanced equipment, was parked nearby. Status. The operator looked confused, fiddling with the controls. "Experts, do you hear anything?" "Huh?" he asked into his headset. The only response from the other end was a garbled, terrified scream. Monster! Monster!" Ing-che, with the egg strapped to his back, stood on high, looking down at the ruined district. So this is the place. The scene was one of utter devastation. Debris from the explosion was scattered everywhere. The buildings were nothing but shells. There were no signs of life. A police dog was sniffing the ground. Ruff, ruff, ruff. It suddenly started barking, startling its handler into raising his gun. The man on the other side of the police tape raised his hands and spoke. "I'm friendly." Ing-che presented his credentials. "I'm Special Investigator Ing-che. I've been sent to investigate this incident." "Special Investigator?" The officer lowered his weapon. He walked over and lifted the caution tape for him. Ing-che ducked under and walked in. "Any word from the expert team?" The officer replied. "Not yet. It happened last night. The expert team went into the blast epicenter, but they've gone missing. We haven't heard from them since. After that, we cordon off the area to make sure no one else accidentally wanders into the danger zone." Ing-che took back his ID. "What about the meteorite?" "We didn't find any meteorite in the crater." The expert team's last transmission mentioned a monster. He was taken aback. "A monster?" The officer nodded. "That's right. Then we lost contact. I'm going to check the crater." He walked past the officer. The officer offered, "I can show you the way." Ing-che declined. "No need. I know where it is." The officer watched him go, thinking he was an oddball. What a weird kid. "And what's with the egg?" At the epicenter of the blast, Ing-che knelt inside the crater, examining the ground. "A monster, huh? The scene really does look like a meteorite impact. A direct hit. It's just... the smell is a little strange." He scooped up a handful of soil. "What's this?" The soil was mixed with unidentifiable fragments. Divine demonic energy signature detected. A system notification popped up. Divine demonic energy again? Che was caught completely off guard. In my past life, this sudden disaster caused massive destruction and had a huge fallout. At the time, everyone was just focused on managing the immediate crisis. But they overlooked the true cause that was hidden beneath the surface. As time went on, the truth was likely buried by those with their own agendas. Just then, the egg, which had been quiet until now, suddenly shot into the air. Why is this egg suddenly moving on its own? Che watched in shock as the egg hopped out of the crater. Stop, he yelled. Don't run. For an egg, it was surprisingly fast. Get back here. Further from the blast zone, the buildings were still intact. The egg, seemingly tired from running, stopped to rest on a bridge. And then it took off again. Ha! 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 Che leaned on his knees, panting heavily. The egg panicked when it saw he had caught up. Damn it all! How can an egg run faster than a person? Ha! He ran so hard his face was a mess. He angrily shoves the egg back into his backpack. Now let's see you run. He wraps a few more lengths of rope around it before picking it up. If the system hadn't said you were about to hatch, I wouldn't have bothered stealing you from my little sister. As he was talking, he glanced over and saw something. In the distance, a massive fire was raging in the city. The chains had been melted through. It can't be contained anymore. The fire spread everywhere. A chaotic mix of panic screams filled the air. Quick, informed the family head. A loud explosion rang out. A pillar of fire shot into the sky. Shards of chain and rubble flew everywhere. The source of the fire pillar was an unknown creature with a humanoid body and massive wings. It landed with a thud, spinning in a circle. After it, don't let it escape. A group of people surrounded it. Instead of running, it launched a fiery attack. That's an S-rank fiend. A koluohua. It hurled 3 fireballs toward the person in front. The girl quickly dodged out of the way. Behind her, a young man swung his sword, trying to extinguish the flames. Are you okay? She asked. He looked worried. This is bad. If this keeps up, everyone's going to be burned alive. Li Xiaolu shouted. Anyone who's scared, fall back now. The rest of you, just help me hold on for another half an hour. The family head is on his way. Suddenly, the young man yelled. Look out. A fireball was speeding right at her. Just then, Che drew his sword. He leaped into the air. His blade crackled with lightning. He sliced right through the fireballs. The fireballs exploded. Li Xiaolu raised an arm to shield her face. So strong, she thought in amazement. Incredible. A koluohua, huh? Che recognized what it was. All of you stay put. He charged toward it. Li Xiaolu quickly tried to stop him. Wait a second. Get back here. You'll be burned to a crisp. Che took out the backpack with the egg. The koluohua took a deep breath. Its throat bulged. It opened its mouth and unleashed a torrent of fire. He threw the backpack and raised his sword. The egg flew into the air. Stormbreaker slash. He swung with both hands. In a flash of lightning, he slashed straight through the koluohua. Che caught the falling backpack. An explosion erupted behind him. The wind whipped his hair. TCH. He rested the sword on his shoulder. Still cool as ever. A system notification appeared. Congratulations. You have defeated a koluohua for the first time. Attribute point +1 received. Absorb the koluohua's fiendish power? Che didn't understand what it meant. Absorb? Fiendish power? A circular sigil with intricate patterns appeared at his feet. Streams of red fiendish power were pulled toward the center. They were absorbed by the stone on his chest. 9 Heaven's Court. First Heaven, Middle Heaven. Opening progress, 20%. As the system finished speaking, a sign appeared before the gates of a celestial palace. Everything slowly faded away. The scene came back into focus. Li Xiaolu stared at Che from a distance. The young man let out a sigh of relief. We're saved. She still couldn't process what she had just witnessed. He actually killed a koluohua in a single strike. Who in the world is he? A young man holds a glowing, golden stone slate in his hand. You can't touch it with your bare hands. A red-haired girl cries out, but he's already touched it. The scene shifts to 2 people sitting at a stone table inside a traditional Chinese-style house. A lantern. Inside it is the glowing golden slate. I am Li Xiaolu. From Jingzhou. I am the 37th disciple of the Li family martial hall. Xiaolu is stunned. She looks at him with suspicion. This guy, the Li family of Jingzhou, is one of the top 3 ancient martial arts clans. In all of Xia, even though we've been in seclusion for years, our name has never faded from people's memories. And yet, he's never even heard of my family. In any case, thank you for what you did back there. She crosses her arms. She says coldly, after all, if it weren't for you, my clansmen, and I would all be dead. So speak. How do you wish to be repaid? Anything is on the table, except for illegal activities like arson, murder, or repaying you with my body. Things like that are off limits. Also, I don't know what I should call you. You can just call me Ing Che. Miss Lee, you just said that it can't be touched with bare hands. It seems you know quite a bit about this thing's origins. Could you tell me about it? He asks curiously. To be honest, I'm very interested in this object. Xiaolu turns her head away, angry. Just because you're interested, you expect me to reveal the secrets of a marten to you? I cannot grant you that request. Ing Che feigns surprise. So, this thing is called a marten, huh? You can't touch it directly because it contains an unknown type of energy. If you're exposed to it for too long, something terrible could happen. You think I'd actually tell you that? He looks at her blankly. You just did. Other than us, no one knows the specifics of this thing. Furthermore, the longer the exposure, the marten can cause living organisms to mutate. The monster that appeared earlier was also affected by this energy. He nods. And then what? Xiaolu turns back to look at him, as if she's dealing with an idiot. I think I just said everything I should and shouldn't have said. This guy is so strong, and I don't even know if he's a friend or a foe. Someone help me. I should have found out who he really was first. Ing Che's expression turns serious. He thinks to himself, the secret of the marten? In my past life, this was a top-level national secret. It was first discovered by Old Qian. Because of a fatal flaw, the project was immediately scrapped. The details were never released to the public. And yet, this girl who came out of nowhere knows exactly what it does. She asks awkwardly, why are you here? Why am I here? Ing Che replies, weren't you the one who brought me? You said it wasn't convenient to talk back there. I mean, back when we were about to be overwhelmed. Why did you suddenly show up? Oh, you mean that? I saw the fire and came over to check it out. That's when I found you all fighting that thing. Before he can finish, Xiaolu gets in his face and shouts, no, I'm asking, who are you? Ing Che just smiles. I'm a special investigator assigned to the fire in the city. That's why I'm here. Investigator? She exclaims. What's wrong? Click. This. Actually, a young man with red hair walked over. We have a special envoy visiting today, and I wasn't notified? How utterly disrespectful. Xiaolu flinched. Cousin. The young man replied coolly. Address me as the family head when we are in public. Yes, family head. He was from an ancient martial arts family. The head of the Li family. Li Yunfei. Right. What Xiaolu was trying to say is, we're the ones responsible for the fire in the city. Family head. Why bother hiding anything from the investigator? He retorted. Yunfei began. Young man, I'm sure you've already figured it out. The recent fire was caused by that monster. It was originally human, but it was corrupted by a peculiar energy emanating from an ancient relic. An ancient power with properties similar to Matin energy. In the end, it transformed into that monstrous creature. Thoughts raced through his mind. The special energy they're talking about is actually the power of gods and demons, isn't it? Just like that spider from before. It was also corrupted by prolonged exposure to the power of gods and demons. If the fire really was caused by that monster, I doubt any of the experts could have survived. He placed his hand on the magic crystal cage as he continued. This ancient relic, this ancient object, you could call it a forbidden object. For generations, it has been a secret guarded by all of our ancient martial arts families. For several centuries, it has been passed between our families in a rotating custodianship. As for the specific details about it, I'm afraid I cannot say. He went on, I can only tell you that prolonged exposure to it can cause one to become corrupted. In recent years, for some reason, the time it takes to be corrupted has been getting shorter and shorter. Could this be related to the coming divine descent? Yunfei explained, by tradition, the guardian of the forbidden object is rotated every month to avoid corruption from long-term exposure. But on the night of May 8th, something unprecedented occurred. Even though it hadn't been a full month, the guardian was unfortunately corrupted. He transformed into a monster. This newborn monster was weak, but incredibly fast. I tried to contain it, but it slipped past me. But then, It ran out of energy mid-flight and came crashing down from the sky. That's what ultimately caused this massive fire. He added, after I recaptured it, I went out to gather some things to destroy it. I never imagined it would almost cause another catastrophe. I see. Can I see the ancient relic? For myself? Yunfei refused. I'm sorry. This ancient relic is a forbidden object. I can't just show it to outsiders. If you want to know what it is, you don't need to look far. You're carrying one yourself, aren't you? Ingche was stunned. Me? Yunfei smirked. Look at you. That sword of yours. His expression grew grim. Ingche thought to himself, in this life, someone else knows the secret of the gods and demons before the divine descent. Xiaolu cried out. What? This sword is a forbidden object, too? She was in utter disbelief. The truth is, Yunfei revealed, this blade has now bonded with its master. Its energy doesn't leak out easily. It's no wonder you couldn't sense it. But this blade is truly something special. He answered, his voice trembling. It's not what you think. This blade of mine is an ancestral heirloom, passed down from our ancestors of the Great Xia. It really is a family heirloom, and we only just unearthed it. It's getting late. Mr. Li, to properly investigate this matter, I'm afraid I'll need to take this magic crystal back with me. That's fine. Go ahead and take it. Thank you. He reminded him, but remember to be careful. Don't turn into a monster yourself. Stepping through the gates of the Li estate, Ingche grew suspicious. These ancient martial arts families are not as simple as they seem. Looks like I'll have to have my people investigate them more thoroughly. In the library, a hand pulled a book from the shelf. Xiaolu walked in. Cousin. As he left, he stood watching the energy radiating from the magic crystal. If that monster is already dead, then this is over. Tell everyone to clean up. Get ready to leave. Yes, sir. It's no longer safe here. We need to get out of here. He grabbed the golden book, preparing to depart. Night had fallen. His sister was already home. Ingche held his sister's diary in his hands. It read, June 10th. I don't know what my brother has been so busy with lately. First, he took a leave of absence from school. Then he joined the military. I never see him around anymore. But the worst part is, when he left last night, while I was asleep, he snuck in and stole my egg. I'm so mad. He walked over to his soundly sleeping sister's bed, reading her diary. While she's sleeping, huh? He thought to himself, once God's descent begins, I won't always be able to be by your side to protect you. The best I can do is find you an item like the martial god saber, so you'll have the power to defend yourself. Ingche gently stroked his sister's hair. Just then, she began to have a nightmare. Whispering sounds rustled around her. An image appeared of a book surrounded by 6 glowing magic crystals. She looked up. The magic crystals suddenly vanished. The book grew darker, then winked out of existence. Elsewhere, Ingche stared at the ancestral blade. He found it hard to believe. In this life, someone actually knew the secrets of gods and demons before God's descent. These ancient martial arts families, what secrets are they hiding? He remembered what Yunfei had said. If you want to know what it really is, the answer isn't far away. You have one right here, don't you? The blade you carry. His sister woke up. She rubbed her eyes and walked into the living room. You're back? A show is still playing on the TV. Why is our love just a small love, while his is a great love? Ingche asked her. Why are you awake? Did I have the TV on too loud? No. She was fuming. It's something worse. Where's my egg? He handed the egg to her. Here. It's right here. It's completely unharmed. Strange. He jumps in alarm. Wait, why are there fewer mana crystals in here? No way. She turns the precious egg upside down. Honey, the egg. A little white seal pokes its head out. It hatched. 1 week later, at the seaport, a helicopter flies overhead. Aboard the ship, red flags flutter in the wind. Reporting. Giant steel pile, number 107,001, is secured. General Hu Shun, the theater commander, gives an order. We need to pick up the pace. His subordinate replies. The little white seal tries and fails to eat a gemstone. Ingche complains. This little guy is such a picky eater. He won't eat anything but mana crystals. The strongest steel wall on Earth, coastal defense system, has made significant progress. Based on conceptual design, for the strongest steel wall on Earth proposed by Comrade Ingche. As of today, all 720 key construction zones along the coastlines have begun construction. At the current pace, The final phase is projected to be completed in as few as 50 days. He sighs in dismay. How do they end up sticking with the name Strongest on Earth? Total length, 20,000 kilometers. Height above sea level, 300 meters. Foundation width, 500 meters. It will be fully integrated with the mainland. A steel curtain to seal off the entire coastal region. A miracle of engineering like this. From design to completion in just over 50 days. It's unbelievable. His subordinate beams with pride. That's right. Comrade Ing Che provided the design for the strongest steel wall on Earth. Even the president of the Academy of Sciences was full of praise. A true genius. He waves his hand, flustered. Not at all. The blueprints are just a guide. Ultimately, its success depends on the tireless efforts of our construction workers. The truth is, in my previous life, I was just lucky enough to see the finished design. Ing Che remembers it well. In my previous life, during the darkest of times, it was a team of scholars, led by academician Qian Minxiang, who stepped forward. They worked non-stop for 7 days and nights to complete the design for the steel wall while facing down chaos and natural disaster. In the end, I'm just a messenger from the future, and I'm the one who accidentally changed its name. A young official speaks up. I believe you're all overlooking one crucial detail. Excluding concrete and other materials, the project is estimated to require over 100 billion tons of steel alone. That's nearly 10 years of our nation's total production. He is Han Sanjin, an official of the Grand Xia Council. Han Sanjin. So to fight the sea god, wouldn't it be better to just adopt my original proposal and abandon the coastal areas? We should pull back our entire defensive line. The commander slugs him across the face. He crumples to the floor. What's with this old geezer? I was just offering a helpful suggestion. The commander is enraged. He roars. What the hell was that? Let me make myself perfectly clear. This is the land of Huaxia. We will not yield a single inch. If we abandon our coast just to face the sea god, what will we be forced to abandon next? Now get the hell out of my sight, before I decide to give you a taste of lead. He raises his pistol, and the official freezes in terror. Ing Che quickly tries to de-escalate. Commander, please calm down. The subordinate shouts, trying to divert their attention. Commander, sir, about that matter from before, you said you'd help Comrade Ing Che find those talented people and special items. Well, we've located all of them. Why don't we take Comrade Ing to see for himself? Shall we? Comrade Ing Che. He bumped right into Ing Che's gut. That's right. Hurry, let me see. He was scared. He truly is a guardian of the Great Xia. After fighting on the battlefield for so many years, this old commander's presence is terrifying when he's angry. He holstered his gun. You're lucky this time. He turned his back. And one more thing. Don't ever let me hear you say something like that again. The subordinate ran after the commander. They whispered among themselves. I'm telling you, the commander went to great lengths to find these people. It's just a minor issue. Oh, really? Sanjin's eyes bulged with anger. To dare pin all our hopes on some little brat? So naive. That's the power of the gods we're talking about. How are we supposed to stop that? Last time, someone claimed they could contact the gods. Tell them, I'll grant them a meeting. Go arrange it. Yes, sir. A voice rang out. Wait up. A young woman was panting for breath. Inge, the place you mentioned. It was empty when we got there. After searching for a while, this was all we could find. In her hand was a pouch containing a strange object. Furthermore, the family you spoke of doesn't exist. There's only an ordinary martial arts hall in Jingzhou run by the Li family. But there's no information on that person. It seems there are secrets at play here. Secrets that can't be spoken of. Keep investigating. Understood. The scene changes. A film projector whirs. On screen, a barrage of bullets is deflected by a strange aura of light. 3 people stand watching the footage. Well, look who finally decided to show up. A green-haired girl held a remote. We've been waiting here for half an hour. Hu Shun placed a hand on Ing Che's shoulder. Those 5 include masters from 3 different schools. We've invited them all. How you handle them from here is up to you. Ing Che replied with a confident smirk. Not a problem. A young man in the flowing robes of a classic swordsman, a rattan whip in hand, stepped forward. You're Ing Che, right? Care to go a couple of rounds with me? To me, you just look like a pretty face. All for show. In a real fight, you're nothing but. He was a master of the Taoist arts. He looked at Ing Che with utter disdain. Che nonchalantly took the dandan from his shoulder. Looks like I'll have to fight first to get any of you to listen. To save time, all of you can come to me at once. With that, he set the dandan on the ground. His arrogant challenge caught everyone's attention. The girl, Xiao, a spirit medium, turned to look at him. She turned to face him. The small kid wearing headphones, an heir of the Xinghe sect. Shangwan Wanzi took them off to stare. The Buddhist disciple, Wen Bai, paused his chanting and looked up. The young man from the Confucian school, Mai, just offered a cryptic smile. They were all ready for battle. 15 minutes later, they were all on the ground, completely defeated. Their minds were reeling, stunned by Che's power. Can't fight him. He's too strong. Ke. The man who had just dismantled the masters of 3 great schools stood tall, without a single scratch on him. So, are you all ready to listen now? The Taoist master lay on the floor. The girl pushed herself up, trying to mediate. A true gentleman uses his words, not his fists. We're all civilized people here. Che turned to Xiao. The specific details of the mission. Did the commander explain everything to you? Xiao pushed herself up onto one knee and answered. Yes, but it's still hard to believe that gods are really about to descend. And you've gathered us here. Is it your hope that we join the battle with the gods? Mai sat in anguish, leaning against a wooden post. You talk a big game. If the gods really do descend, with these mortal bodies of ours, we'd just be cannon fodder. He lamented with a sigh. Che replied, to be blunt, with your current strength, you don't even qualify to be cannon fodder. Before that can happen, you all need to get stronger. Become the pillars that protect the great Xia. Ignoring the weight of his duty, Wen Bai remained sprawled on the ground. Ba, my cultivation is still shallow. Please, master, enlighten me. Che clapped his hands twice. He continued, the divine war is approaching. Although the Eastern gods are now mere legends. Just then, a cargo truck pulled up, carrying something massive covered by a white tarp. They left behind a precious legacy for us. With that, Che pulled off the tarp. Underneath was a colossal, emerald-green cauldron that shimmered in the sunlight. Wen Bai stared, stunned at the enormous vessel. He shot up, his mouth agape as he exclaimed. This is, the driver explained sheepishly. I had to pull a lot of strings to get the museum to lend us this. But I have no idea what it has to do with any gods. Che reached his hand toward the cauldron. An information panel appeared before him. Ownerless cauldron. Originally an auxiliary divine artifact used by the ancient god. 9 revolutions, heaven and earth cauldron. After the ancient god's demise, it fell into a sealed state, becoming the ownerless cauldron. Che touched the cauldron. The system lit up, claiming successful. Instantly, the cauldron floated into the air, radiating a powerful aura. The driver stared up, his jaw dropping in astonishment. Che began to explain. This cauldron is called the 9 Revolutions Heaven and Earth Cauldron. It is a divine artifact left in a mortal world by an ancient god. Look at its patterns. Understand their meaning. Each of you will perceive something different, and your enlightenment will vary. Xiao, equally amazed, stared at the cauldron and asked, really? I think I'm actually feeling something. A ripple spread through the air. Che turned back to look. All the masters were sitting in meditative cultivation. Even the truck driver had his hands clasped, deep in focus. Che suddenly yelled, why are you cultivating too? Che also sat down. He closed his eyes and entered a meditative state. They all remained in meditation until night fell and the moon rose high in the sky. By now, Mai and Wu Zi had emerged from their meditation and were already exchanging blows. Mai's fighting spirit was blazing. I feel like I'm overflowing with energy. Wu Zi shot back without missing a beat. Brute force alone won't get you anywhere. After dodging Mai's attack, he used his momentum to plant a hand on the ground. He sprang back up, launching a powerful counterkick. Mai quickly raised his arm to block the blow. Just then, Che's eyes snapped open. The scene before him was one of masters from various clans testing their newfound strength against each other. Xiao also showed off cheerfully. Everyone look at this. I can control my heavenly silk so much faster now. It can change shape according to my will. With that, she shaped the silk in her hand into a heart. See? A heart. Nearby, Wen Bai eagerly showed off for Xiao. Go on, punch me. I feel like my body is incredibly tough now. A loud cry rang out. Great mighty heavenly dragon. Instantly, everything around them was pulled in by a powerful, swirling force. The power came from Shu Dao. He, too, was surprised by his own newfound strength. So this is the feeling of becoming stronger. Mo Mai and Wu Zi were still fired up, energized by their new power. Let's go another 200 rounds. Who's afraid of who? A scene of utter, energetic chaos unfolded before Ing Che. The agent driving the cauldron transport ran over and whispered to Ing Che, "You're finally awake." After they woke up, "This is what they're all like." Ing Che replied, a bit sheepishly, "It's because they've assimilated the techniques from the divine artifact. So, everyone's going to be a little overexcited at first." The agent asked again, "How did you know the cauldron had this ability?" "To be honest, even I feel like my physical functions have been enhanced significantly." "Does that mean in a museum? The other ancestral treasures, do they also have this kind of power?" "I'll go borrow all of them tomorrow." Hearing this, Ing Che closed his eyes with a heavy sigh. "Probably not all of them." The agent was puzzled. "Probably?" Ing Che recalled a memory. In his previous life, back then, this 9 Revolutions Cosmos Cauldron was displayed in the museum for a very long time. No one ever discovered its secret. It wasn't until the Divine War began that people finally realized what it could do. It was then handed over to the state to enhance the combat strength of the special divine units. The agent looked at Ing Che, wondering to himself, "This guy, could he be a reincarnated god? This whole thing feels like a dream." Ing Che gestured, and the cauldron lowered itself to the ground as he spoke. "But for now, this can't be returned to the museum. The divine war is coming. If we want to stand on the battlefield and defend our home, then we have to use every second we have to train and cultivate. I'll have to ask for your help with this. Hold on to it for a while." Meanwhile, Mo Mai and Wan Zi were still fooling around. Ing Che continued, "Next, I'll contact the commander. We need to intensify everyone's power training. Right now, if we had to face a real god, we still wouldn't stand a chance." The agent raised his hand in a salute. "Understood. In this world, besides the 9 Revolutions Cosmos Cauldron, there are 2 other auxiliary divine artifacts that can raise one's cultivation level and accelerate training." Ing Che searched his memory for those 2 divine artifacts. One is the Myriad Chaos Pearl. The current whereabouts of the Myriad Chaos Pearl are unknown. It has always passed through the hands of different owners. Every time it appears, it brings a storm of blood and slaughter. The other is the Yin-Yang Kunlun Mirror. The Yin-Yang Kunlun Mirror has always been hidden within the Kunlun realm. In my past life, it wasn't until Mount Kunlun was destroyed by gods and demons, causing a massive landslide, that the Kunlun ruins finally reappeared. Even if I know where it is now, there's no way to find the entrance, let alone trying to claim it for ourselves. Back at Ing Che's home, a book was floating in the air, radiating a strange power as a small hand reached for it. Tiny feet took careful steps forward. A sudden, sharp voice startled Bao Bao from her trance. "Bao Bao," she gasped. "Brother." Ing Che lifted her into his arms. "What are you doing? That's dangerous." Bao Bao replied. "It's gone." Ing Che asked, "What's gone?" Bao Bao squirmed down and peeked under the couch, wondering to herself, "That's weird. Was I dreaming? I've been seeing a book a lot lately." Ing Che answered her, "Sleepwalking, huh? It's good that you like to learn, but you need to eat first." He picked up the remote and turned on the TV. The 2 siblings sat and watched Journey to the West. Sun Wukong's voice boomed from the television. "Taste the wrath of my staff." Bao Bao took a bite of her burger and asked him, "Brother, what have you been so busy with? You come home so late every night." Ing Che replied, "I don't have a choice. The divine war is about to begin." He then picked up the remote and changed the channel. The TV switched to a news station where an important announcement was being broadcast. "We interrupt this program with breaking news. Our nation is holding an emergency meeting at the United Nations. The Republic of Korea is hereby issuing a formal warning to all nations of the world. Our planet is about to be invaded by gods. If you can master the 10,000 spirits return to one technique, known in my past life as the God-slaying technique." The scene opens on a bustling street. Cars are lined up bumper to bumper. "Hey boss, an order of youtiao, please." 2 people stand in front of a snack stall. I'll have 2 orders of youtiao and a bowl of soy milk. The busy owner calls back without looking. Coming right up. My senses are heightened. Ingche closes his eyes, centering himself. The god-slaying technique circulates divine power through the 8 extraordinary meridians, which then strengthens the body. This is my first time expanding my senses like this. First, I'll try to hear sounds within a few kilometers. As long as I keep training, not only will my hearing and sight become sharper, my strength great enough to move mountains, and my speed as fast as the wind, but I'll also be able to manifest weapons and acquire other unimaginable, miraculous abilities. Countless different sounds flood his ears. Cabbage. Fresh cabbage for sale. Hey boss, this pork doesn't look very fresh. Hurry up. We're going to be late. He meditates within a circular formation. Ancient red runes float in the air above him. I have to hone my body and my divine power to their absolute peak before the gods descend, so I can surpass them, overcome the gods, and slay them. Big bro. Suddenly, a booming voice calls out to him. Ingche jolts in shock. Blood spurts from both his ears. Your ears. What's wrong with them? Bao Bao calls from his doorway. The fish lady gave me 2 family passes to the theme park. I want to go. Tears of pain in his eyes. He presses his hands to his ears to stop the bleeding, thinking, I was so focused on distant sounds that I neglected what was right in front of me. That can't happen again. He refuses. No, I still have to. Bao Bao clings to his leg, holding up the tickets and begging with sparkling eyes. Wah, just this once. Please, just one time. She puts on her cutest little bunny face. Her eyes glitter. Unable to resist his sister's cuteness, Ingche gives in, completely defeated. All right, fine, but just this once. Yay. Bao Bao cheers with joy. He holds out his hand. Let me see the tickets. Where's this place? He looks at the tickets seriously. Just then, the little girl finally notices her brother's condition. But big bro, your ears. What happened? At the entrance to the theme park, which is shaped like a bear's head, Mo Xiao Xiao is waiting, arms crossed, looking annoyed. Captain, you're late. Ingche adjusts a pair of glasses that appeared from nowhere. Sorry, it took a while to borrow some things from the commander. Ingche is disguised as a pot-bellied, middle-aged man. He's even wearing a fake mustache. A backpack is slung seriously over his shoulder. Let's go. The tickets are only valid if a child is accompanied by both parents. So, I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to play the part of Bao Bao's mother for today. At her brother's prompting, Bao Bao smiles and waves at her. Mommy. Xiao Xiao is rendered speechless. Do you have some kind of weird misconception about what a parent is supposed to look like? A virtual screen scans the Ferris wheel. Information appears on it. Spiritual aura. 4. Spiritual aura. 6. A mother and daughter are sitting in one of the cars. An arrow points to the little girl. Spiritual energy. 2. From a distance, 2 figures were watching through binoculars. They were dressed in frog costumes. One of them spoke. Still no target with a spiritual energy value of 10. His partner replied. Same over here. The scanner then passed over Ingche and his 2 companions. Bao Bao was swinging playfully between them, holding their hands. The readings appeared one by one. Spiritual energy. 10. Spiritual energy. 8. Spiritual energy. From inside one of the frog suits came a sinister chuckle. Ha! Found one. We found a suitable sacrifice for our god. In the distance, Ingche suddenly stiffened, his eyes darting toward the source of the gaze. Seeing his strange reaction, Xiao Xiao looked at him, confused. What's wrong? He gazed toward 2 dark specks on a nearby rooftop. It's nothing, he said. Xiao Xiao, I'm going to the restroom to change my clothes. Can you keep an eye on Bao Bao for me? She agreed. Of course. Inside the public restroom, Ingche had just taken off his shirt. God, it's hot, he grumbled. A voice came from one of the frog-suited figures peeking into his stall. When Ingche opened the door, he found a figure standing right there. A scanner instantly displayed his information. The figure pulled out a taser and lunged. Ingche glanced at another frog-suited man, who had just appeared. An awkward silence fell as the first attacker completely missed. So, Ingche simply threw his hands up and pretended to pass out. Question marks practically appeared over the 2 frogs' heads. Elsewhere, Bao Bao was using a twig to draw a picture of Ingche in the sand. Xiao Xiao's phone buzzed with a notification. Her pupils contracted as if she'd just seen something impossible. In a dark, hazy room, A blond young man spoke with irritation. Our leader is an incredibly busy man, yet he still made time to come here. The masked man replied, "That's right, and this is no ordinary performance. I guarantee this will be worth your while, sir." Han Sanjin couldn't help but interject. "My time is valuable. How much longer until this performance begins?" The masked man raised a hand to his earpiece. "It's starting right now. Bring in the offering." The two frog-suited men quickly responded over their comms. "Roger, Roger." They pushed Ing Che, his hands bound, into the room. A paper bag had been placed over his head. Hearing their voices, he thought to himself, "That voice, why does it sound so familiar?" The two men forced him into a chair. "Sit here and behave." Suddenly, a voice rang out. "Honored guests." It was a masked man. He raised his arms and announced, "The divine descent officially begins now." Then, he took a knife and sliced his own hand in front of everyone. Blood welled up from the wound. But strangely, it didn't drip down. Instead, it floated in midair. He continued to speak, his voice resonating. "I see you seated on a great throne." Then, three of his accomplices began to circle Ing Che as the blood connected to form a ritual array. They chanted an incantation. "Your robes cascade down, covering the entire sanctuary." The blood array closed in around Ing Che. Upon it await the seraphim, each with 6 wings. They continued to shout in unison. With 2 they cover their faces, with 2 they cover their feet, and with 2 they fly. Their voices cried out, "Holy, holy, the Almighty Lord of hosts. May your glory fill the world." The threads of red blood grow thicker. "Holy Scourge, Holy Scourge, Holy Scourge, O Jehovah, God of hosts, let your glory fill the heavens and the earth." The more they chant, the larger the mass of blood becomes. Suddenly, an artificial face with piercing eyes materializes from. It's a C-class angel, a 2-winged seraph. Their voices continue to echo. "Descend, O Lord," following the beam of light. The angel slowly descends toward Ing Che. The audience stares, breaking out into a panicked uproar. Is that a god? An angel? Oh my god. Gods are real? The masked man continues his explanation. When the lives of the sacrifices are offered up to a deity, that god will descend upon the mortal realm. The more lives that are dedicated, the longer the deity can remain active. Han Sanjin asks in surprise, "You can summon any god you want?" The masked man replies, "Of course, but no god is mightier than the one we worship." A sinister smile creeps across Han Sanjin's face. "Perfect. All I have to do is summon the water god and make him an offer he can't refuse. I'll persuade him to call off his attack on Blue Star. The glory I'll receive will be immeasurable. Then I can finally shove my success right in that little punk's face." The angel slowly raises the sword in its hand. It prepares to strike down in a flash. But out of nowhere, another sword flies in to block the attack. It circles back to its master, then plunges down into the bloody screen above Ing Che, shattering it completely. It's Ing Che's sword. He calmly pulls the paper bag from his head. So, it's just a 2-winged angel. And here I was, hoping for a bigger catch. In an instant, he snatches his weapon out of the air. The angel remains motionless, its gaze fixed on Ing Che. While below, he raises his sword, ready for a fight. He turns to the entire auditorium with utter confidence. "And now, it's my turn to put on a show." Seeing Ing Che, Han Sanjin seethes with anger. This guy again. So damn annoying. Let's go. We can't afford to be seen just yet. Meanwhile, Mo Xiao Xiao is checking the locator for Ing Che's position. Pedaling furiously with Ming Bao on the back, she calls out urgently, "Hold on tight. We're almost at your brother's location." The little girl replies, "Okay." Little does Mo Xiao Xiao know, she just sped past Han Sanjin, the very man who's setting Che up. She thinks with determination, "I can't believe we suddenly got a clue about the gods. But it's so far away." Back at Ing Che's battle, he leaps high into the air, readying his sword as he roars. Divine martial slash. Ing Che brings his blade down decisively on the angel. It's cleaved clean in 2. Instantly, the angel's body explodes. The force of the blast sends him flying backward. Its blood spatters across the floor. Seeing how easily he won, Ing Che lets out a satisfied smirk. Pathetic. Couldn't even take 1 hit. He stands before the 3 masked figures, his voice dripping with challenge. Looks like your god has clocked out. Ing-che stares them down, a defiant look in his eye. So, now it's your turn. The men clutch their robes, veins bulging on their hands in fury. You bastard. They tear off their cloaks, revealing horrifying, half-angelic forms as they rage. How dare you profane the name of our god? They glare at him with dozens of eyes. They signal to one another. Kill him. The three creatures surround Ing-che, weapons drawn, ready to charge. They lunge forward at blinding speed, raising their spears to impale him as they shout. Angel's Legion Lance. But his sword intercepts, piercing right through their weapons. The lances shatter into 1,000 pieces. Then, with a single, fluid motion, Ing-che glides past them. He cuts them all down in an instant. Just in time, Mo Xiao Xiao screeches to a halt. Both Mo Xiao Xiao and Ing Bao stare, stunned, as Ing-che carries the unconscious man. The little girl finally snaps out of it and calls to him. Brother. Seeing them, Ing-che asks for help. You're here. Give me a hand. The military trucks are almost here. A little while later, the police arrive and seal off the scene. One by one, men in green uniforms load crates onto a truck. The crowd buzzes with conversation. What's going on? Isn't this that old, abandoned opera house? Another group whispers as they film with their phones. Looks like someone turned it into a spot for some secret deals. Look over there. Their eyes land on one of the men who fought Ing-che, and they gasp in horror. That monster. His eyes, they're completely inhuman. At a certain military compound, the base is surrounded by lush greenery. A white-haired man in a green suit looks at the creatures in the glass containment cells and turns to Ing-che. You're saying these things were all originally human? Inside, the creature lies still. Ing-che responds. Yes, they're humans who were corrupted by the power of gods and demons. I have a feeling that somewhere out there, a hidden organization is secretly performing rituals to summon a god. The man continues. It seems that in the future, we're going to be counting on you. He signals an aide. Bring it here. The aide replies. Yes, sir. Seeing the box, Ing-che asks. What's this? It's a black case with the words God-Slaying Army printed on it. The sky is clear and blue. At a military base, May 19th, the first God-Slaying Squad is formed. Its members are gathered from all over the world. May 23rd, the God-Slaying Army is officially established under a red flag. Everyone at the base roars in unison. I stand here and swear an oath to obey orders, to remain loyal to the mission, to uphold discipline and protect all secrets. We will eliminate the invading gods and protect the future of the Great Xia. May 24th, Wang Zifen approaches Ing-che, holding a file. Comrade Ing-che, we've got a lead on what you're looking for. The scene shifts to a peaceful landscape of forests and mountains surrounding a serene lake. Silence. A ticket inspector speaks. This place used to be a normal tourist spot, but after the landslide a few years back, any boat that gets too close to the center of the lake runs into trouble. He says to Ing-che, even just standing here, I can always hear singing coming from across the water. It comes and goes, and it's really unsettling. The locals have been saying that they believe the lake is cursed. Cursed? The man nods and continues. That's right, but even so, it doesn't stop a steady stream of tourists from coming here every year from all over. They all want to see for themselves what this so-called cursed lake looks like, and hear that singing with their own ears. Finally, he gets back to business, handing the ticket back to Ing-che. All right then. Ticket looks good. You can board the boat. Ing-che starts to sweat. It's that dangerous. And you're still telling me to get on? The man pats his shoulder reassuringly. What's there to be afraid of? I was just pulling your leg earlier. Relax. As long as you don't go near the center of the lake, you'll be perfectly safe. Suddenly, his eyes widen, and a strange, unsettling grin spreads across his face. Off you go. Kiddo, I hope your little boat ride is a fun one. A moment later, Ing-che walks to the edge of the lake, about to board the boat. Suddenly, the system's voice sounds in his head. Presence of God and demon energy detected nearby. If they're calling it a curse, I'll bet there's a creature in the water that's been corrupted by the power of a god or demon. Before I came, Wang Zifen already told me. Ing-che recalls his conversation with her. In recent years, a lot of people who go and they go missing. Are you sure you want to go to a place that dangerous? Actually, there are a few other options. They're all places with strange occurrences, just like you described. but they aren't nearly as hazardous. Would you like to reconsider and pick a different location? But your answer was firm. This is the place. Z-Fan had no choice but to respect your decision. If you insist, then all right. But to be safe, we'll arrange for a guide to meet you when you get there. Returning to the present. As Che prepared to step onto the boat, a thought crossed his mind. It seems I've come to the right place. This place, I heard about it in my past life. The rumors said that this lake was teeming with bizarre aquatic creatures. Che thought with a touch of regret. Too bad. By the time I heard about this place, the monsters in the lake had already been wiped out by some young upstart. Finally, he stepped onto the boat. The boatman began to row. Che sat down, lost in thought. That young man was a local. He found a treasure here and rose to power. After the divine descent, he gradually became a formidable local force. This area was corrupted by the power of gods and demons, which gave birth to monsters. And hidden at the bottom of the water is a treasure. Perhaps there's a divine artifact in there that would be perfect for my sister. This time, for her sake, I'll charge into a tiger's den or a dragon's lair if I have to. Then, Che glanced at his phone and muttered, "But that guide sister Z-Fan mentioned. Why can't I get in touch with them? Whatever. I'll get started on my own. I'll circle the lake and scout things out first." Nearby, a man pulled a cigarette from pack. Two ticket takers were whispering to each other. Another one with a death wish? Every year, there's always someone who doesn't believe the stories. But every single time they go out on that lake, their boat capsizes. The other man scoffed. "What are you talking about? Nobody takes a boat out to the middle of the lake these days." The man with the cigarette lit it and spoke up. "But still," he said, looking at the two of them, "all the boatmen now are rescue personnel. As long as you don't go into the middle, you'll be fine." Suddenly, all three of them spotted Che's boat out in the center of the lake and gasped in shock. "Wait, that can't be right. Why is that boat heading for the middle of the lake?" The other man replied, "I just saw him standing by the shore a minute ago." Meanwhile, Che was still calmly scrolling on his phone. Dan leaned tiredly against him. He spoke aloud. "Oh, right. It's been a long time since you last had a magic crystal." Suddenly, a song echoed up from the depths of the lake, just as a huge wave slammed into Che's boat. Startled, he yelled, "The singing from the legends." A whirlpool erupted in the water, sucking the boat in. Caught completely off guard, Che shouted, "What the hell is going on? How did the boat get all the way out to the middle of the lake?" From within the vortex, a grotesque hand shot out and grabbed the side of the boat. Che saw it and stomped down, shattering it. It let out a piercing shriek. He whirled around and yelled at the boatman. "Where are you taking me?" The man dropped his disguise, a sneer on his face. "To your grave." Beneath the mask was Zhu Luoxia, successor of the Amaze sect. She spun her weapon and lunged toward him. Che swiftly drew his sword, blocking Luoxia's attack. At the same time, more strange, yellow hands surged from the water, clawing at the boat. From the heart of the whirlpool, a mermaid with long, sea-blue hair emerged. Her identity, F-rank mermaid leader. She began to cast a spell. The water churned, rocking the boat violently. Seeing this, Che thought to himself, "The space here is too tight. I can't fight effectively. First, I need to create an opening." Suddenly, the mermaid's enchanting song reached his ears. The sound hit him, his head ringing. For a moment, his vision blurred and he staggered. Another mermaid seized the opportunity, leaping onto the boat and grabbing his leg. Zhu Luoxia watched, her voice dripping with satisfaction. The mermaids in this place can use their song to hypnotize people. As she scanned the swarming mermaids, she continued speaking. Then they drag you into the water to become one of them. And with skills like that, you actually think you can enter the ruins? She laughed mockingly, then lunged at Che. Zhu Luo pressed her advantage, spinning the weapon in her palm. She kicked off and charged forward. Aiming for Che, who was still pinned down and motionless, she yelled, "You can't even take a single hit." Seeing her walk right into his trap, he just smirked. He kicked the mermaid holding him down, sending it flying right at Zhu Luo. The move startled her, and she staggered backward as she blocked the blow. She fell right into the arms of a pink-haired mermaid. The creature was thrilled to have prey deliver itself. It shrieked with glee, and it squeezed her tightly. Its affectionate embrace was suffocating her. With the nuisance out of the way, Che swung his blade, cutting down the remaining mermaids as blood sprayed everywhere. He slaughtered one after another, on the left and right sides of the boat. With each slash, the system announced, successfully killed mermaid. Attribute points +1. Congratulations on your first mermaid kill. Successfully absorb the mermaid's divine power. 9-layered heavenly court. First heaven unlocking. 50% progress. Successfully killed mermaid. Attribute points +1. He was quite satisfied with the results. Not bad. So these little monsters can be farmed for attribute points. Looks like I can max out today. Still struggling to break free, Zhu Luo pulled out a blue gun. She pointed it straight up and activated it. Ultrasonic attack activated. It unleashed a deafening, high-pitched screech. The sound wave blasted both her and the mermaid, which couldn't stand the assault. It quickly let go and dove into the water. Its tail thrashed violently against the side of the boat. Even the egg in his backpack jostled around, nearly falling out. In the middle of the fight, Ing-che was surprised to see that all the sea monsters had vanished. Now the lake was still. The waters were calm and quiet. Still holding the gun, Zhu Luo complimented Ing-che. I guess you really do have some skill. He asked her, who are you really? She announced proudly, I'm Zhu Luo. Wang Zifan must have told you about me. I'm your partner for this operation. I disguised myself as the boatman and came here specifically to wait for you. Hearing this, Ing-che furiously grabbed her by the collar and shook her. So you're saying you're the guide Zifan sent? Then why the hell did you just try to kill me? Zhu Luo looked away, flustered. I wasn't really trying to kill you. I pulled back at the last second, didn't I? I was just testing your strength. I had to be sure. If you were a partner I could trust with my life. Ing-che leaned in close. A test? She explained nervously. You know what they say? You can't really know someone until you fight them. Anyway, I drove the mermaids away. Let's get the boat to shore and get in the water. Suddenly, Ing-che reached behind his back and drew his sword. The motion startled her, leaving her wondering what he was about to do. While Zhu Luo was still confused, his blade flashed behind her, slicing a mermaid that was sneaking up on them clean in half. The system chimed in again. Successfully killed mermaid leader. Attribute points +1. The huge splash snapped her back to her senses. Was that the mermaid that was singing earlier? I can't believe it came back for a sneak attack. Ing-che turned back to her, his expression grim. If this is your way of testing me, don't use that excuse again, or else you'll end up just like that mermaid. Hearing that, she muttered under her breath. So petty. He really holds a grudge. 20 minutes later, the boat was docked. They left their backpacks and the egg behind and changed into diving gear to continue. As Zhu Luo adjusted her suit, she began to explain. There's a divine altar hidden here. A few years ago, after a landslide, the area flooded. Ever since, it's been connected to this lake through an underwater cave. We just need to dive down and swim through it, and we'll reach the altar where the treasure is hidden. Hearing this, Ing-che had a question. An opportunity this good, and you don't want it all for yourself? So why share it with me? Luo Zhou steps out from the bushes, now changed, and explains. Because with an extra pair of hands, my chances of success are much higher. She says with a smile. If I go in alone, I'm pretty sure I'll die. Besides, when a guy and a girl team up, the work gets done without any fuss. Let's move out. Hearing this, a speechless Dandan lets out a squawk. Once they're ready, they both dive into the water. As they swim deeper, Luo Zhou explains, the mermaids were temporarily driven away, so it's really quiet down here, and perfectly safe. Luo Zhou leads the way, explaining as they swim. Once we're underwater, we just have to pass through that underwater cave. The Manhwa altar is right on the other side. After swimming for a while, they reach a rock wall. They break the surface, and Luo Zhou grins excitedly. We're here. Ing-che follows her deeper into the cave. Once inside, he looks around, puzzled. This is a Manhwa altar? As they search the cave for treasure, they find a large chest. Luo Zhou quickly pries it open with a crowbar. The chest springs open, revealing a hoard of gold and jewels. Her eyes sparkle as she leaps with joy. We're rich. We're rich. Ing-che takes off his oxygen mask, thinking to himself. The system isn't reacting. It's just a bunch of ordinary gold and jewels. Looks like there's no divine artifact here. What a wasted trip. Luo Zhou hastily starts stuffing her bag. Seeing him just standing there, she prods him. What are you standing around for? Start grabbing. Ing-che shakes his head. None of this is what I'm looking for. She ties up her bag, complaining. You don't even want treasure? Fine, suit yourself. Luo Zhou slings the bag over her shoulder and says, before those things get back, we should get moving. Ingche suddenly hears a rustling sound and shouts, who's there? They both whip around to see a monster approaching them. The creature is half human, half snake, with the face of a person. In its hand, it holds a jade-green lotus lamp, an E-rank human-faced serpent. Luo Zhou panics, tears welling up in her eyes. Oh no, we've been discovered. I don't think we can get away now. Looks like I'm leaving empty-handed again. Ingche's system displays information about the lamp in the serpent's hand. Shaman Lord's lamp. Originally the precious lotus lamp, a divine artifact of both offense and defense from the ancient divine treasury of the Great Xia dynasty. After its ancient master perished, it entered a sealed state, becoming the masterless lamp. Seeing the item's information, he reaches for his sword, preparing to fight. He tells Luo Zhou with a grin, the thing in her hand, that's what I came for. The calm surface of the lake suddenly erupts, forming a massive, roaring whirlpool that bathes the area in a brilliant light. Dandan is napping on the shore. Suddenly, the light flashes across. Its face. Puzzled, Dandan stares intently at the strange phenomenon. From within the whirlpool, 3 figures emerge. Ingche, the human-faced serpent, and a miserably screaming Luo Zhou. He complains as he slashes wildly at the serpent. Damn it, it's so high up, I can't even reach it. Since when can reptiles fly? How is that fair? Luo Zhou panics, pointing down at the rapidly dissipating whirlpool. That's the least of our worries right now. She screams as she's spun around by the vortex's fading power. We're about to fall. Suddenly, a large, strange creature flies up at incredible speed, catching them in an instant. Luo Zhou is overjoyed. We're saved. Recognizing the creature, he calls out, Dandan, I can't believe you can get this big. And you can fly too. This makes him wonder, come to think of it, what kind of creature are you anyway? Unable to speak, Dandan can only reply with a cuckoo. Meanwhile, Luo Zhou, still dizzy from the whole ordeal, is trying to get her bearings. As her head clears, she suddenly remembers something important. She reaches behind her back and spins around, happily clutching her bag. Oh, thank goodness. The treasure's still here. Let's get out of here now. Suddenly, tentacles shot up from the water, attacking them relentlessly. Seeing this, Ingche cried out, Dandan, run! But the tentacles were getting faster. In an instant, they seized Dandan's leg and coiled around its entire body. He swung his sword, hacking repeatedly at the bindings. As the tentacles were sliced to ribbons, he gave an order. Dandan, get her out of here first. Head back to the shore. After hearing Dandan's reply, he leaped off its back and flew toward the monster. Luo Zhou's jaw dropped in astonishment. How can he just jump into the water like that? Sensing the disturbance, the tentacles surged from the water once more. They swarmed Ingche, attacking from all sides to capture him. He intentionally let them catch him and bind him tightly, creating an opening for Dandan. They wrapped him up like a cocoon, completely ignoring everything else around them. His plan had worked. Dandan carried Luo Zhou safely to the shore. The moment it landed, Dandan shrank back to its original size. Luo Zhou could only turn and watch the battle, feeling completely helpless. The tentacles tightened, dragging Ingche down into the water. The tentacles were all connected, like a single long rope, rapidly pulling their prize into the depths. Deeper and deeper he went, until the source of the tentacles was revealed, a massive, grotesque, brown monster. In the center of the monster was a white, human-like mask. This was the great Namu King. Sensing its prey drawing near, it snapped open its 4 green eyes. The tree-like body shot out spiraling branches, hurtling toward Ingche. A sword slash tore through the water. Wavebreaker slash. He leaped forward, his sword a blur of lightning-fast strikes. The Namu King's eyes went dark. Its trunk was severed into 3 pieces. Its branches were chopped into small bits. Sap oozed from every cut. A system notification appeared. Great Namu King successfully slain. Attribute points +1. Congratulations. First time kill of the great Namu King. Successfully absorbed the demonic god power of the Namu King. 9th Heaven Gate. First layer unlocked. 60%. Ingche suddenly spotted something. A turtle and a monkey thrashing about in the water. He thought to himself, were they caught in the aftershock of my water dragon fist? Still dizzy, huh? Because of the water dragon fist? He chuckled. Talk about a lucky break. Just what I needed. Well then, don't mind if I do. War God's blade. With a swing of his arm, Ingche's sword cleaved the monkey and the turtle in two. The system chimed again. Sea monk successfully slain. Attribute points +1. Congratulations. First time kill of the sea monk. 9th heaven gate. First layer. Mid-heaven unlocked. 70%. Water ape successfully slain. Attribute points +1. Congratulations. First time kill of the water ape. 9th heaven gate. First layer. Mid-heaven unlocked. 80%. Please allocate your attribute points. Remaining attribute points. 37. Strength, LVL1. Agility, LVL2. Stamina, LVL1. Spirit, LVL1. Ingche broke the surface of the water. Dandan flew over, clearly worried. Coo, he said. Dandan. Then he grabbed hold of his pet and pulled himself up. Sitting on Dandan's head, he commanded, take me over there. Dandan's eyes blazed with anger as it shot toward the snake person. The snake hissed. HSSS. Ingche immediately unleashed an attack. War God slash. His blade shot straight for the snake person. A notification appeared. Defense too high. Attack ineffective. He immediately said, System, put all points into strength. The system interface appeared again. Please choose how to allocate your attribute points. No attribute points left. Strength, level 8. Agility, level 2. Stamina, level 1. Spirit, level 1. Cracks spiderweb across the glass. The glint of the sword's edge weaves through them. Another system notification. Strength increased to level 8. 13 more attribute points are needed for the next level up. The glass shatters into pieces. His sword strikes become smoother, carving into the serpent man and forcing it to scream in agony. System notification. Successfully eliminated the Electro Serpent Man. Attribute points +10. Congratulations on your first kill of an Electro Serpent Man. Successfully absorbed the Electro Serpent Man's divine and demonic power. 9th heaven. The first layer of middle heaven has been opened. Progress, 100%. The weapon falls. Ingche yells. Damn it. It flies toward the other side. He reaches out to catch it. He catches the sword in his mouth. Both hands grip the weapon firmly. He's overjoyed. Yes, caught it perfectly. Suddenly, a crack appears. Then it shatters into pieces right in his hands. He furrows his brow in anger. Why is this happening? A divine weapon I worked so hard to get. It's broken. You gotta be kidding me. The spinning shards converge into a red orb. System notification. Analysis detects severe damage to the divine weapon. System will now fuse the Electro Serpent Man's fangs and scales with the weapon fragments to initiate repairs. The orb transforms into a beautiful green serpent bracelet resting in his hand. Another system notification. Repairs complete. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a bracelet. Ingche just holds the bracelet, his jaw agape with delight. System. Sufficient divine and demonic power absorbed. 9th heaven. The first layer of middle heaven is now officially unlocked. The southern heavenly gate is about to open. Do you wish to enter the first layer? A strange voice rings out. Huh. He snaps to attention. Someone's coming. Better close it for now. The boatman shouts angrily. How could you take the boat out to the middle of the lake? A person with short, white hair and a large bag on their back bows their head, flustered. I'm sorry. The old fisherman is furious. He lets out a long tirade. Sorry? What good is sorry? Huh. If sorry fixed everything, what would we need the cops for? You were the one who said you needed an internship urgently and would work for free. That's the only reason I agreed to give you a trial run. And on your first day, we run into all this trouble. Where did you even take that passenger? Why haven't you fished him out yet? Ingche suddenly appears behind him. He points to himself. You looking for me? The old fisherman is scared out of his wits and screams. A ghost. Ingche walks over and explains seriously. It was my fault. I was curious about the legend of the lake center, so I asked her to take me. So don't blame. It's not easy being an intern. Lacta, standing nearby, gazes at him with sparkling eyes. An angel. He finds the situation a bit strange. A high school kid sticking up for a college intern, but the old fisherman doesn't want to get any more involved. He turns and walks back towards the boat. Forget it. Good thing nothing serious happened. Otherwise, this old man would be out of a job. Due to the weather, this area is temporarily closed. Let's get out of here. Lacta whispers to Ing Che. That was amazing. You scare me half to death back there. That lamp. Did you get it? Ing Che turns to her. The lamp? It broke. She looks surprised. Ing Che grins, holding up his hand to show her. It's fine. I already found something better, he says with a smile. After you. Oh, by the way, miss, would you like to join us? Luo Xie regards him with a polite distance. You could just call me CMA. Hearing the familiar name, Ing Che freezes. He stops in his tracks. Xie, could she be the one from my past life? The person rumored to be the young prodigy destined to make a fortune? The boat rocks gently as they board. Before, the commander also invited me, but I turned him down. Once they're on the boat, they continue their conversation. Do you know why the commander wanted you? No idea. Probably to serve in the military, I guess. I don't have that kind of ambition. Besides, now that I have these treasures. Ha! Ing Che falls silent. He rests his chin on his hand, lost in thought. The war of gods is coming. Simply making a fortune won't be enough to survive. But if my past life is anything to go by, I don't need to worry about her. This woman will one day rule over her own territory. I'm sure she'll be able to protect herself. Perhaps it's her sixth sense? But Luo Xie feels like something is off. That said, did we forget something? He flinches, a flicker of guilt crossing his face. The scene shifts. We see the familiar green snake bracelet. Bao takes it, her face alight with excitement. Whoa, is this for me? A voice answers her. Of course. Ing Che sits across from Bao, explaining carefully. Bao, listen closely. From now on, no matter where you go, he slides the bracelet onto his sister's wrist as he speaks. You have to keep this on at all times. Bao clearly loves it. Her eyes sparkle as she exclaims. It's so pretty. Still concerned, Ing Che asks again. Did you get all that? Bao replies. I know. Suddenly, a system prompt appears. Ownership bond successful. The bracelet begins to glow. Bao gasps. Staring at it, mesmerized, he goes on to explain its features. This bracelet isn't just pretty and glowy. It's also a weapon. Ing Che gently lifts her hand. If I'm not around, it will protect you from me. If you're ever in danger, just think the words. Activate defense. That will trigger its defensive shield. Bao's eyes go wide with wonder. She immediately tries it out. Activate defense. A dome of purple light flashes into existence around them. It forms a large protective shield, enveloping them both. Unfortunately, the barrier identifies Dan as a threat and promptly ejects him. And he continues his explanation. Once the danger is gone, all you have to do is think deactivate defense, and the shield will disappear. Bao, deactivate defense. Ing Che keeps explaining how to use the bracelet. But this weapon isn't just for defense. It can attack, too. If you want to attack. The command echoed in his mind. Attack. The barrier vanished. Dan hit the ground with a thud. At the same time, Bao yelled. Attack. A giant serpent man appeared. Without a moment's hesitation, it lunged straight for Dan. Seeing this, Bao screamed even louder. Attack. Attack. Go. The monster gave chase. The three of them were strung out in a line. One fleeing, the other in pursuit. Meanwhile, Ing Che took out his phone. He dialed a number. He said with a cheerful smile, Yeah, I'm back. I have to thank you for arranging that guide. I got everything I needed without any trouble. For the next little while, I'm planning to, on the other end of the line, at the EC base. Su Fan was stunned. Go into seclusion? Now, on the other end, Ing Che replied, That's right. I need to make the most of this time to train. As for the base, I won't be coming by for a while. And the team, Xiao, who was beside him, cut in. Don't worry. We'll step up our training, too. Ing Che spoke from the other end of the line. Xiao is there, too. Great. Let's all give it our all. Our next training regimen is going to be twice as intense. Hearing this, her face went pale. Horrified. Why is it double again? On the other end, Ing Che had already hung up. The two of them stood there with completely different expressions. Su Fan held up the phone. He hung up. Xiao clutched her head and screamed. Back on this side, Ing Che's thoughts raced. After the last battle with the snake-faced man, the first level of the celestial system has been unlocked. I can enter it to speed up my cultivation. Time is short. I have to get stronger. After all, the scene shifts. It's almost time. Sometime later, a gag young man with green hair appeared, trembling uncontrollably. Before him stood two figures in black cloaks and birdbeak masks. In the distance was Uncle Sanjin. Standing right next to him was a person with blonde hair who was speaking. I called you all here this time for one simple matter. Here today, we wish to meet the sea god. One of the masked figures spoke. This was what you promised us. Of course, there's no problem. We just hope you haven't forgotten what you promised us in return. Sanjin adjusted his hat. Rest assured, as long as this plan succeeds, in the land of Jiangzhou, you will have free reign. You can spread your faith as you please. Gaining as many followers as you want will be no issue. The black-cloaked figure reached a hand toward him. Only Jiangzhou, the gagged, green-haired man, could only tremble. MMPH. MMPH. Umph. As for anything else, that will depend on your future performance. Now, hurry up. Let's begin. The shadows of the two bird-like figures flickered on the wall. Not so fast. Patience. We will honor our promise to you. He's holding some kind of staff covered in sharp thorns. Red smoke swirls around it. Oh, great sea god Gong. With the utmost reverence, we call upon your sacred name. He clenches his fist. Blood seal. The man in the bird mask raises his hand. Streaks of red light radiate from his palm. The slightest swing of your scepter can summon the most furious waves, and then calm the fiercest storm. Your will permeates the vast, boundless ocean. Every creature in the depths obeys your command. The blue-haired young man watches it all unfold. He's terrified. His face darkens as he lets out a helpless, muffled cry. MMPH. MMPH. Guards are posted outside the room. Inside, only a menacing red glow can be seen. The scene changes. Ing-che, a large backpack slung over his shoulder, steps out of the room with Dan Dan. Bao Bao has her bracelet on and has already left for school. I just told her I'd be away for a little while. And I've already sorted out her meals. He thinks excitedly. A smile plays on his lips. Now I can finally focus on the training system. In front of him, a system window appears. Enter the first floor. Yes. No. Ing-ke. Yes. Everything changes. He is transported to a dark, gloomy place. Dust and smoke swirl all around. In the distance, giant, statue-like figures loom. The sounds of battle, clashing steel and cries of death, echo all around him. Ing-che takes a cautious step, moving forward. He walks on. Suddenly, wisps of smoke coalesce into human forms at his side. They flank him, staring. And just as quickly, they dissipate. Once again, there is nothing but dust. They're gone. Ing-che looks up. What? Are these things? A system panel materializes. These are the afterimages of the Great War of Gods from 10,000 years ago, although the war has long ended. Within this realm, its immortal shockwaves and memories still linger. Suddenly, beneath his feet, a circle appears. It erupts with a powerful gust of wind. Ing-che is caught off guard. He stares in surprise at the formation below, but doesn't stop there. Streaks of red light shoot toward him from the distance. A bead of sweat runs down his face. He watches them, stunned. He grips his sword tightly. What the hell are these? The red lights converge on Ing-che's forehead. They form a ring. He cries out. A torrent of information floods his mind. Amidst heavenly soldiers and the smoke of war, an immense aura rushes into Ing-che's mind, his eyes flying wide open. He has no time to react. The aura envelopes his entire body. For a moment, not even the celestial soldiers dare to take a single step toward him. An incredible power surges through his hand. The powerful aura continues to swirl around him. In a moment where he loses control, the power within his sword is unleashed. Infinite blade art. Ing-che takes a solid stance, like a Tai Chi master, and thrusts his sword forward. The blade flies forward, carrying an overwhelming, tyrannical power. It creates a breathtakingly beautiful and deadly technique. The resulting explosion is powerful enough to shatter the heavens. Wind howls and sand flies everywhere. The dust and smoke begin to clear. A graceful red ribbon is now wrapped around the hilt of his familiar sword. The ribbon unfurls. Ing-che stares in astonishment at the strange ribbon. What is this? He picks it up to examine it. The system window appears with an explanation. Within the first heaven, the host may choose to receive the power of an Eastern deity. Each of these weapon fragments holds a portion of a different god's power. And this Huntian Ling in your hand is a symbol of power from an Eastern god. The system's voice echoed in his mind. Do you wish to unleash a portion of this Eastern god's power? Hearing this, Che was stunned. A wild, unbelievable thought crossed his mind. The Huntian Ling. Could it be him? Unleash it. The moment he spoke, the Huntian Ling began to glow, moving with a soft, sentient grace. Power surged through him once more, but this time it was far more immense. In an instant, his body absorbed the energy, transforming his entire appearance. A fiery emblem materialized between his brows. His hair turned a vibrant crimson and defied gravity, flowing upward. A red sash draped over his shoulders, fluttering in an unseen wind. A gleaming golden ring appeared around his neck. A powerful aura erupted, enveloping him completely. A notification from the system appeared. Congratulations, host. You have obtained the power of an Eastern deity. Next up, combat training. This will help you master this newfound power. Feeling the raw energy coursing through his veins, Che was floored. Is this the power of a god? Suddenly, an F-class heavenly soldier charged at him. On pure instinct, Che sensed the impending danger. He swung his sword. Wuji. The heavenly soldier was sliced in two. He realized it was just another combat simulation. But something felt different this time. No, this is not the same. The system chimed in. Host has successfully slain a heavenly soldier. Attribute points +1. A reminder for the host. Although these heavenly soldiers are mere combat projections, their attacks will inflict real pain. Moreover, you can earn attribute points for defeating them. Please proceed with caution. Che found himself surrounded. The heavenly soldiers closed in, launching a relentless assault. One swung a heavy mace straight for his head. The force behind it was immense, enough to be lethal. Che effortlessly dodged the blow, leaping into the air. But the soldier gave chase, relentlessly pursuing him. Even cornered like this, a small, thrilled smile spread across his face. How exhilarating! With a flick of his wrist, he sent his sword flying. Wuji, his single attack met the entire horde. The world was instantly rocked by a series of deafening explosions. He wiped out all the F-class heavenly soldiers in the area. Instantly, the system notifications flooded in. Successfully slain a heavenly soldier. Attribute points +1. The same message repeated over and over. Che recalled his sword. In the chaotic battlefield, nothing remained but rubble and dust. Embers drifted down from the sky. From a distance, a voice like silver bells chimed with laughter, praising his skill. It seemed they had been watching his every move for quite some time. Impressive moves. You're worthy of fight with me. He gasped, shocked. Neza. But as he looked closer, a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. His expression was one of confusion, not joy. This version of him. Why is the Neza standing before me? So strange? They stood upon the wind and fire wheels. In their hand, the fire-tipped spear, the universe ring around their neck, and a Huntian Ling draped over their shoulders. The image was flawless. It was unmistakably the image of Neza. But then why? Is Neza a girl? Daluo Jinxian. Neza. Before Che could dwell on his confusion, a system notification popped up. The host is currently facing a battle projection from a past. This is the physical manifestation of the power you chose to unleash from the Eastern deity. The message continued. As for the difference in appearance, it is primarily influenced by the host's own imagination. Hearing that, Che's face flushed bright red. The system had hit a little too close to home. A scream fills the air. This is not the Neza I remember. I'm gonna rip this damn system in half with my bare hands. Che's hand slips. She hurls the dazzling golden universe ring. He calls out the name of his move. Then, Che holds his index and middle finger straight. The other 3 fingers curl slightly, forming a hand seal that emits a stream of red energy, gripping the end of his sword. He unleashes an infinite strike. Wearing sneakers, Che plants his foot, pivoting and digging in to build momentum. And then, Che bolts. He runs for his life in the opposite direction, desperately trying to escape Neza's pursuing universe ring. He runs, his sword held aloft by the two-fingered energy seal. Both his and Danden's faces are bruised and swollen. The red armillary sash wrapped around him streams behind them as they run. His mouth hangs open. He screams in frustration. Didn't you say I already acquired her power? Then why am I the only one getting my ass kicked? A notification panel appears. When the host successfully defeats the current combat illusion, you will have completely mastered this divine power. Neza's relentless and ferocious attacks leave Ing-che scrambling in fear. He flails his arms and legs, desperately dodging left and right. Little Danden tumbles from his shoulder, its four stubby legs scrambling to keep up, its face covered in lumps. He continues to yell and scream. Do you even hear yourself right now? This girl is insanely strong, and you're telling me I have to beat her to activate the special skill? Ing-che, a fresh lump on his left cheek, suddenly sees something and freezes. Before him stand thousands upon tens of thousands of figures. Behind him, the female Neza holds her universe ring, her red armillary sash snaking menacingly as she gives chase. Their massive silhouettes are cast against the clouds behind the advancing army. A notification appears. Friendly reminder, in a real divine battle, it's not just about the main combatants. There are also countless soldiers attacking alongside them. Her face alight with battle lust and excitement, the female Neza shoots forward. Let's see you run now. At the same time, thousands of soldiers in red and black iron armor charge him, gripping their spears with both hands. Ing-che anxiously turns to the trembling Danden on his shoulder. Danden, transform. Right now. Danden grows several times larger. Ing-che leaps onto its head. With a determined look, it charges straight into the horde of soldiers, while Neza continues her pursuit from behind. Back in the apartment complex where Ing-che and his sister live, the sky is blue, dotted with white clouds. Inside Ing-che's room, he and Danden are sprawled out on the floor, panting heavily. Pant! Huh! Gasp! His sword lies discarded beside them. Ing-che's clothes are filthy. His face is no better, covered in both dirt and bruises. It's swollen. He speaks between ragged breaths. I can't believe I was in there for 3 whole days. Huh! All that time? I wonder if my sister misses me. Ing-che picks up his phone and opens the system panel. Strength, level 9. Agility, level 9. Endurance, level 9. Spirit, level 8. System. Remaining points, 0. He murmurs after checking his stats. Well, this special training definitely paid off. But to defeat Neza, I've still got a long way to go. His hand trembles as he grips his phone, which displays the time. 15 minutes and 25 seconds. He cries out in shock. What? Not even 15 minutes have passed. A notification appears to explain. The flow of time in the ninth heaven is different from the outside world. 1 year in the ninth heaven is equivalent to 1 day outside. 15 days are equivalent to 1 hour out there. His face so bruised he can't even open his left eye. Ing-che holds his phone and marvels. I never would have thought the ninth heaven was hiding a secret like this. Looks like I can recover and even surpass my peak strength from my past life in no time at all. Another notification panel appears. Enter the first heaven of the ninth heaven. Ing-che's finger trembles as it moves towards the panel. He groans, the pain still too much to bear. In some pitch-black space, 4 heavily robed figures are casting a spell, channeling a brilliant red light toward a figure bound to a chair. The person's head, completely covered, is slumped forward. White smoke begins to rise from the captive's bound hands. White smoke billows from his body, his head still bowed. A massive, glowing blue figure holding a trident materializes in mid-air, directly above the bound man in the chair. That's a B-class. The sea god, Batadong. 2 humans. One wears a hat. The other, a blond man, watches from the side. Batadong has a long mane of hair, impossibly long eyelashes and beard, and his eyes are pure white without pupils. He speaks. Humans. The blond man's face is a mask of terror. Han San-jin says with excitement, I finally get to meet you. Si good Batadong. We already know about your plan to invade the Blue Star. Batadong's yellow irises gaze down at them. Humph. And how would you know that? Han San-jin spreads his arms wide. Because we have a prophet among us, of course. Batadong replies. The Blue Star is a vast world. It's hardly surprising to find someone with such talent. So, have you come to declare war? Batadong's form shimmers, blue and gold interweaving. Han Sanjin places a hand on his chest. He holds out his other hand in a gesture of sincerity. No, no, I've come to negotiate. We want peace. Just as long as you don't invade our planet. Name your terms. We'll meet every single one. The space around Batadong's feet begins to warp and distort. Countless eyes sprout from the air, all fixed on Han Sanjin and the blonde man. Batadong bursts out laughing. Ha 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 ha. I never would have guessed. After all these years, the humans of this planet have grown so weak. Let's get this war started. I can't wait any longer. This battle is one we will surely win. Sweat beading on his brow, Han Sanjin says hurriedly, any condition, anything you want. Just name it. We are prepared to offer an annual tribute. Gold, silver, precious jewels, land and minerals. More and more black eyes with white pupils materialize around them. Batadong raises a hand, his voice dripping with contempt. Fool! What use do I have for such trivial things? What our God King desires is the entire blue star. For the longest time, we searched for the blue star's location. But to no avail, we were unable to launch our attack. And yet you actively contacted us. Not only did you reveal the blue star's coordinates, but you also exposed just how pathetically weak you are. We can now inform our allies at once. Gather our divine forces and march upon the blue star. But wait, there's no need to inform them just yet. An opportunity this good, how could I possibly let it slip away? I want to be the one, the first god to set foot on the blue star. A small orb of energy forms at the tip of his trident. He aims it at Han Sanjin and the blonde man. Han Sanjin's face immediately contorts with fear. His mouth hangs open. A beam of green light shoots from the orb. Han Sanjin instantly squeezes his eyes shut, pulling the blonde man in front of him as a shield. The terrified blonde man takes the full force of the green beam with his body. The blonde man screams. Arg! His face becomes gaunt and pale. His eyes are gone. Han Sanjin stares in shock at the mummified corpse in his hands. Terrified, Han Sanjin throws the tattered husk to the ground. He turns and runs for his life. Wah! Help me! 2 tentacles, pink on top and white underneath, suddenly shoot out from the green light. The tentacles snake out, grabbing Han Sanjin's wrist just as he's about to escape through the door. He's yanked down, collapsing in the doorway. Light from within spills out, illuminating the leg of a soldier, standing guard with a rifle just outside the door, hidden in the shadows. The soldier doesn't move. Han Sanjin screams. Arg! Blood splattered everywhere. The soldier guarding the door was instantly ensnared by a tentacle. It coiled around his shoulder, wrapping tight, then around his neck. Blood wept from his mouth and his pupil-less eyes. A monstrous creature with at least 6 tentacles appeared. Its tentacle ripped Han Sanjin's head off, burrowing through the back of his neck and out his mouth. Its grotesque mouth unleashed a long tongue and other tentacles, slaughtering the humans in a spray of blood. In the city of the gods, within a strange, ocean-like space, a dark figure, with tentacles writhing at its base, was reporting before a throne. Upon it sat Poseidon, holding his trident. Your Majesty, the priest on the other side could not withstand your full power. As a result, the connection was lost. But before we were cut off, we successfully locked onto the coordinates of the blue star. The one reporting was a D-class, a low-ranking sea god. He had ghastly green skin, yellow eyes with red pupils, and 2 long horns on his head. The right half of his body was covered in tentacle patterns. In the center of his chest was something that looked like an eye. Poseidon, seated on his throne, looked slightly different from when he was summoned. His skin was a darker shade of blue. Shadows concealed the upper half of his body. He spoke. We must act first, before the other gods. We will descend upon the blue star. With humanity's current level of strength, they are nothing more than ants to us. We can wipe them out without a second thought. Poseidon's face became clearer. His pupil-less, azure eyes glowed. He declared with relish. Ha 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 ha! The blue star is as good as mine. The pistol fired relentlessly, followed by a string of frustrated curses. Useless. Just then, alarms blared and warning lights flashed. A massive tentacle monster, shaped like a grotesque eyeball, smashed through the wall and charged in. A hail of gunfire erupted, but it did nothing to slow the creature's ferocious advance. Damn it! It's no use. None of this is working on it. At the most critical moment, the gun ran out of bullets. He kept pulling the trigger in vain. I'm screwed. A tentacle whipped past the barrel, swatting away the ejected casings. It shot forward, grabbing the guard by the neck and squeezing hard. Celestial cleave. A powerful voice rang out, followed by a lightning-fast slash. The eyeball monster was split in two. It was Mo Xiao Xiao, weapon gripped tightly in her hand. What's going on? How did something like this get inside the base? Her eyes widened in surprise. The severed tentacle fell limp. The other parts of the monster collapsed to the floor like lifeless objects. Mo Xiao Xiao's silhouette stood tall amidst the wreckage. Elsewhere, a cup of tea was placed carefully on the table. Chang Hushan sat at his desk, listening pensively to the other two. Wang Zifan voiced his question. This base is so heavily guarded. How could it have been infiltrated? Mo Xiao Xiao speculated. I'm afraid it wasn't an infiltration from the outside, but from within. She hesitated slightly as she raised the possibility. Hushan immediately gave the order. Search the entire base. Now, Zifan complied at once. In an ordinary room with a bunk bed and a desk, a sudden flash of red light appeared. From within the light, Ing Che fell onto the floor with a thud. He lay there, gasping for breath. Huh. He turned to look at the clock, which read 8:15 a.m. Hours passed in there, just as I thought. But only a few minutes have gone by here. He staggered to the fridge, hoping to find something to eat. Seems I'm out of food. Well, I should refuel a bit first, then head back in. Not long after, a foot stepped toward Neza, who was floating in midair. Ing Che called out to him. Neza turned his head, looking bored. What do you want? And another thing, don't call me Hey. Ing Che tossed his backpack to the side. He issued a direct, arrogant command. Come on, let's finish this. Neza saw this and just scoffed. You're too weak. His hair slowly began to turn red. Arcs of electricity flickered around him. I think you're the one who's scared. Too scared to take up my challenge again. He kept provoking his opponent. Clearly, Neza took the bait. What did you just say? Fine, I'll play with you. But this time, I won't be holding back. Suddenly, his backpack full of bread flew into the air. But more importantly, water had somehow begun to swirl around him. By the time he realized what was happening, he was completely trapped. Where did all this seawater come from? The red sash and the ocean currents merged, dancing together in a frenzied ballet. Neza now stood atop his two universe rings, his hands raised high to control the attack. Sea-stirring vortex. While his guard was down, the red sash whipped forward, smacking him across the face and making his nose bleed. But it didn't stop there. Under the relentless assault of the red sash, he was sent flying again and again. Blood gushed from his nose. Finally, he crashed down into the churning seawater. Ing Che had completely lost the will to fight. Witnessing that pathetic display, Neza couldn't help but crack a smile. You right there, little bro? Still so weak? The scene shifts to the vast, open sea. A few people stand on a large boat heading out to the ocean. A dark-skinned child, standing on a buoy, pointed excitedly at the clear water below. Big bro, quick, look, it's a whale. The dark-skinned young man, carrying a wooden crate, called out a warning to the child. Be careful, or you'll fall in. The child replied obediently. I know. Suddenly, something caught the boy's attention as he looked up. Huh? What is that? A crack suddenly appeared in the sky. Weird. The crack grew wider and wider. A black liquid began to seep out from within. The liquid fell directly onto the head of the whale, swimming below. The shower of liquid grew heavier. The boy quickly raised his hands to shield his face. What is that stuff? The boy shouted in confusion. The strangest thing of all happened next. One of the boy's arms suddenly transformed into a tentacle. Seeing this, the young man ran over to the boy in a panic. Kid, what's happening to you? The boy could only stand there, frozen. Be big, bro. It wasn't just a child. A tenta, CLE was also starting to sprout from the young man's arm. His eyes widened in absolute horror. A nearby camera observed the events unfolding. Now, the sea was teeming with countless monsters. East Sea, 2100 hours. Unidentified, life form detected. It has the form of a giant octopus. The sea began to churn violently as the monster moved. There wasn't just one, but two of them. A small ship was trapped between them. Its escape route completely cut off. The vessel was dead in the water. Two of the octopus monster's tentacles. reached out and clamped down on the ship's hull, lifting it high out of the water. Even so, the camera continued to perform its duty. Attempt to identify target failed. EC 21:15 hours. Unidentified life form detected. Under the immense pressure of the tentacles, the ship was crushed in two. At the Marine Research Station, a data panel appeared on the main screen. Urgent voices flooded the comms. Report. We've suddenly lost the signal from the unmanned vessel. What happened? Why did the monitor go black? The drone signal was interrupted just before we lost it. Real-time data indicates this level of contamination. It's as if a dead swarm just passed through the area. The screen turned red, signaling a critical emergency. The radar sweeps across the region. Searching. A message flashes on the screen. Signal interrupted. We've never seen readings like this. Something terrifying must be happening out there. Report it. Now. Sound the alarm. The entire lab is thrown into chaos. The scene shifts. Monster blood drips from a scythe onto the floor. Mo Xiao Xiao wipes a cloth across the blood spattered on her face. Damn it. Why won't this damn blood come off? Song Hushin asks from behind her. What's the situation? Xiao Xiao reports dutifully. Reporting. Commander, the squid monsters and the other aberrations have been cleared out. All of them. Because conventional weapons are useless against them. And because the internal crisis hit so suddenly, we suffered heavy casualties this time. Before them lies the carcass of the monster. The one with tentacles. That just attacked us in here. She pinches her nose in disgust as she speaks. Also, another loss we've suffered is that the entire base now reeks of rotten seafood. Other personnel are already cleaning the slime-covered corridors left in the monster's wake. Hushin says grimly, our people lack experience. Our weapons aren't strong enough. That's what caused these combat losses. This needs to be addressed. But what worries me more is the surveillance audio from this room yesterday. The scene replays in his mind. Countless grating voices echo through a void. Fools! What use are these worthless trinkets? To us? What we the God Kings want is the entire blue star. Countless ink-black eyeballs swirl in a formless, mystical space. So much time has passed. The location of Blue Star. We have searched for it endlessly, to no avail. We've been unable to launch our attack. And yet you took the initiative to contact us. Not only did you reveal the coordinates of Blue Star, but you also exposed the pathetic strategies of your people. We can immediately notify all of our allies, gather the might of the gods, and descend upon Blue Star. Wait, don't notify them just yet. Such a golden opportunity. How could I possibly just hand it over to someone else? Hushin's brow furrows. He sinks deeper into thought. If our planet's coordinates have been exposed, then the sea god will likely descend soon. He's pulled from his thoughts by a staff member rushing toward him. Report. Emergency situation. He snaps back to the present. What is it? In a man's hand is a photograph, completely pitch black. The environmental drone we sent out to the border last night for its daily patrol detected an anomaly in this sea sector. Xiao Xiao stares, completely confused. What am I looking at? It's just a pitch black square. I can't see anything. There's nothing to see at all. The staff member continues his explanation. Although it appears to be solid black, the energy fluctuations are off the charts. He holds up a second image in front of them. Look at this. This is an image generated by amplifying those energy fluctuations with our new tech. Now, Xiao Xiao can faintly make something out. Huh. Within the image is the silhouette of a monster with countless writhing tentacles. There's no mistaking it. This shape, it's exactly like a massively scaled-up version of the squid monster. We barely survived dealing with just 5 of those things. And not only that, there are swarms of them here, packed together so tightly. And they're all this big? Where are they getting all this divine power? A chilling theory began to form in the tiger god's mind. That's right. How could so many monsters possess divine power? Could it be the sea god has already made his move? He spoke up. Where is Xiao Jie right now? Xiao Xiao replied. He's at home in closed-door cultivation. His voice grew noticeably urgent. The situation's changed. Go. We need his strength to deal with this crisis. He issued a clear, firm command. Notify all fleets. Immediately. Intensify patrol missions within each team's designated sector. The other 2 snapped a salute, their voices sharp and clear. Those damn fools. They brought this on themselves. and they nearly took the entire base down with them. They even exposed Blue Star's location right under the enemy's nose. The war is here, much sooner than we anticipated. The more he considered it, the deeper his anxiety grew. Far out at sea, the situation was terrifyingly grim. A ship was trapped in the crushing grip of blood-red tentacles. The desperate screams of those aboard echoed across the water. "Jump! Now! The ship's taking on water! We can't! It's too late! Ah! Monsters! There are monsters!" As everyone was being viciously attacked by the tentacles, a bizarre figure hovered in the air, observing the chaos from a distance. What a true gift from the heavens! So many humans are here. An order was passed telepathically among the monsters, and the being commanded, "Do not eat them. Every last one of them must be kept. Capture them alive for me." One by one, the people on the ship were seized by the creatures. We still need more followers. Only they can offer sincere belief in our king. Only then can our king descend swiftly and rule this entire sea. The one commanding these monsters was none other than a low-level sea god. A little over 10 minutes later, in another part of the ocean, 3 naval vessels were cautiously approaching a red object floating on the surface. A clear voice crackled over the comms. "This is command. Target is highly likely in your immediate vicinity." After a night of violent storms, numerous naval ships were deploying out to sea. "Copy that, command. Copy. It's not likely. They're already here." The fleet's commanding captain, Lieutenant Hu, reported over the radio as he scanned the distance with his binoculars. Through the lenses, he could see several massive tentacles thrashing around a civilian ship. Dawn had broken, but the monsters showed no signs of leaving. Under the low-level sea god's command, they had completely surrounded the vessel. A young man, caught tight in a tentacle's grip, screamed defiantly, "You, tell this damn octopus to let me the hell go." The others around him could only watch, paralyzed with fear. "I'm gonna dice you into a million pieces and feed you to the sharks. If you've got the guts, come down here and face me." He continued to shout at the low-level sea god, who stood with his back to them on the ship's superstructure. "Let me go. Do you hear me?" The low-level sea god gave no audible reply, but his mind seethed with utter contempt. This stench is overwhelming. The unmistakable reek of the human race. His blood-red eyes glowed fiercely. "Full speed ahead. Let's move." The captured ship immediately began to move, escorted by a protective swarm of countless tentacles. Back at the EC base, the observation room was in a state of controlled chaos. "Commander, this is bad. The target is closing in at an incredible speed." On the main screen, a red dot marked its position, and it was heading straight for their coastline. At this velocity, it's projected to hit the East Sea coast at any moment. "Commander, awaiting your orders." Tiger Godchong was already there, with Mo Xiao Xiao by his side. "Damn it, of all the times for this to happen. This is a critical emergency. We cannot allow them to get any closer. Frontline, execute all combat protocols now. First squad, mobilize the Divine Army, deploy to the East Sea coast, and establish a defensive perimeter." Xiao Xiao stood obediently to the side, listening. The intel was sent out immediately. "Attention, all units. The destroyer squadron is cleared for all forms of engagement. We need to establish a defensive perimeter before the enemy closes in." Hearing this, Lieutenant, who didn't hesitate. "Orders received. Immediately initiate. Level 1 combat alert." The bridge lit up as alarms blared. All hands scrambled to their battle stations. The fleet's cannons were activated. Destroyer main cannons ready. The barrels turned, aiming at none other than the cluster of tentacles in the distance. The ship's fire control officer spoke into his headset, his hand poised over the button. Target locked. Awaiting fire command. As soon as the order came down, fire. Muzzle flashes erupted from the cannons. A storm of projectiles flew toward the ship being controlled by the tentacle monster. A series of massive explosions rocked the ocean surface. Shrapnel and debris shot into the air. However, neither the ship nor the tentacles showed so much as a scratch. All hits on target, but the attack had no effect. The scene playing out on the monitor was unbelievable. Lieutenant, who was furious, he immediately issued a second command. "Damn it! Launch torpedoes! Fire! A torpedo launched from the ship's hull. It tore through the air as it streaked toward its target. An equally massive explosion shook the sea. Thick white smoke filled the air. A red blip appeared on the radar, closing in on the center fast. Not good. Unidentified biological signature approaching at high speed. Hard to port. Evasive maneuvers now. A colossal creature erupted from beneath the waves. A cable from the warship snagged on its massive, razor-sharp teeth. It's a monster. It looks like some kind of whale. Its immense body launched into the air, pulling a torrent of seawater up with it. There was no way to avoid it now. No, it's too late. Faced with the horrifying sight, Lieutenant, who could only stand there, frozen. But he refused to just stand by and watch. His voice grew increasingly urgent. Final order. All ships take aim. Full barrage. Maximum firepower. The mutated whale monster's movements grew more violent. It slammed through the surrounding warships, instantly tearing them to pieces. Seeing the desperate situation, the fire control officer roared. Captain, he couldn't take it anymore. He made a desperate decision. Damn you. I'll take you down with me. All units, concentrate your fire. The remaining warships tried to keep their distance from the monster whale. All while continuing their assault. They maintained a continuous, full-power barrage. Cannons and torpedoes fired one after another. They all had a single target. Countless explosions rained down on the monster's head. But to the beast, it felt like nothing more than a scratch. Beyond the chaotic battlefield, a single, coiling tentacle rose into view. A low-level sea god stood atop the ship, musing to himself. Humans. Amusing, but so very foolish. He brought up a small tentacle, curling it into a circle over one eye, mimicking a human spyglass. A conceited smirk played on his lips. This futile resistance, it's just hilarious. This tiny little blue star, it's even easier to conquer than I imagined. Back at headquarters, God, Sang-hoo watched the sea monster invasion, his expression grim. Conventional weapons are useless against them. Even heavy ordnance won't do a thing. He turned to Z-Fan beside him. Contact Xiao Che immediately. Has he arrived yet? Hearing this, Z-Fan turned and replied. We still haven't been able to reach him. God, Sang-hoo turned back to him. What's the problem? Z-Fan replied. The people we sent to find him, but it's like he just vanished. When he heard this, Lord Sang-hoo gave a sharp command. Send more men. Keep searching. Even if you have to turn all of Jiangzhou upside down, you bring him to me. His roar echoed throughout the headquarters. Z-Fan immediately snapped to attention. Yes, sir. The scene shifts to inside the South Heaven Gate. Ing-ge spun his Chinquan ring and asked, Had enough yet? The female version of Neza roared in defiance. Never. I'll never yield. Suddenly, he snapped the Chinquan ring around Neza's neck, catching her by surprise. What are you putting on me? Ing-che slowly drew his sword, and with a weary sigh, he spoke a single word. Slice. Hearing this, Neza fell into a panic. Wait a second. What are you doing? After countless battles, Ing-che had finally defeated Neza. He raised his sword. Over 300 days of war. Tears of pure frustration streamed down Ing-che's face as he spoke. I finally beat you. Swoosh. The illusion of Neza was slashed away, her last cry echoing in the air. Stop. A system notification immediately appeared. Successfully killed Neza. Stat points gained, 0. Current stats. Remaining stat points, 0. Strength, 9. Agility, 9. Stamina, 9. Spirit, 9. Ing-che realized that 300 days of grueling effort had earned him 0 stat points. He stared at the system panel in disbelief. You gotta be kidding me. Is this a glitch? Seriously, no points? In the next moment, his frustration boiled over. He grabbed the system panel and roared. What the hell is going on? Are you slacking off? Too lazy to even add the points? The system trembled in fear, and a helpless voice responded. It's not that I don't want to add them. It's because the host stats have already reached the maximum level. The host must unlock the next celestial layer to continue training and leveling up. Ing-che asked, confused. The next celestial layer? The system pointed toward the stone monkey on the other side of the room. That's right. See that stone monkey over there? The system continued. You just need to shake its hand. Make it feel an aura and energy more powerful than its own. It will then open the next celestial layer for the host. Otherwise, The host will be stuck on this first celestial layer forever, until you gain enough experience in the outside world to unlock it. Hearing that, Ing-che's eyes narrowed. He glanced over. This little rock? He then unleashed his power and slowly walked toward the stone monkey. All right then, I'll be merciful. I'll let you feel the immense power within my body. The stone monkey's hand was still outstretched, as if welcoming him. Without hesitation, he grabbed its hand, but nothing seemed to happen. Seeing no reaction, Ing-che grew impatient. Come on, open the second celestial layer. The monkey statue remained motionless. Smack! A powerful slap from the stone monkey slammed into Ing-che, distorting his face. The statue boomed. You're not worthy. The force of the slap also sent Ing-che flying back into the real world. He returned to his normal state just in time to slam back first into a wall, punching a hole clean through it. He pushed himself up from the ground, clicking his tongue in annoyance as he cursed the stone creature. That damn monkey! Now absolutely furious, he commanded the system. System, open the South Heaven gate for me now. But the system's reply was the same warning it had given him before. Access temporarily denied. You're not qualified. This response made Ing-che even more furious. He roared in a frenzy. You're all in this together, aren't you? I'm going to tear you all to pieces. His shouts accidentally alerted the headquarters search party. A soldier burst through the door, yelling, We found him. He's in here. Ing-che stared at the soldier, completely bewildered. The scene changes to the city wall. The sky was filled with fighter jets, continuously firing down on the hordes of sea monsters. On the other side of the wall, countless sea monsters marched forward as if under someone's control. Suddenly, a mutated whale leaped out from the sea. It hurtled toward the city wall. Boom! The whale's head was completely unscathed. After the impact, thick smoke rose, obscuring the wall. Are the walls okay? Immediately, fighter jets unleashed a volley of fire on the whale, trying to stop it. An order rang out. Fire. Increase firepower. Keep all sea creatures outside the steel wall. We cannot let them breach this line of defense. The barrage continued to rain down on the whale, but it seemed to do nothing more than scratch and itch. Enraged, it lunged upward, trying to snatch the useless helicopters out of the air. Its bite missed, but it accidentally slammed hard against the steel wall. The helicopters kept up their relentless assault. Finally, after several strikes from the mutated whale, the wall began to crack. Seeing how bad the situation was getting, the helicopter pilots grew frantic. This is bad. The steel wall has been breached. We have to stop them. More firepower. The whale used the same tactic again, but this time, it charged straight into the wall. Right through it. A deafening crash echoed out. The whale's massive body collapsed, and a flood of seawater poured in, smashing through the barrier and clearing a path for the mutated monsters below. More helicopters were dispatched to the battlefield. Seizing the opportunity, the monsters swarmed inside with all their might. From his cockpit, a pilot saw the critical situation and reported back to command. The enemy has broken through the first line of defense, requesting immediate backup. Down below, Mo Xiao Xiao and the rest of the Tianjibian unit appeared. She excitedly tossed her weapon case into the air, rallying her comrades. We've trained for so long. Now is the time to show our strength and protect this land. With that, she and the entire team charged forward as one. Her blade slowly materialized as she spoke again. Let's fight, Tianjibian. Hearing her command, the others roared in unison. And just like that, Mo Xiao Xiao and her team began slaughtering the mutated sea monsters to hold the line. The monsters shrieked in agony from the sudden counterattack. Just now, on the other side, a flash of power shot past, and blood sprayed from two of the beasts. The slash was so fast that they didn't even have time to react. All they could do was stand there and accept their fate, amidst a rain of blood and gore. A pair of slender legs darted forward. Mo Xiao Xiao and her weapon cut down one monster after another with overwhelming force. Even so, she could tell the situation wasn't getting any better. This isn't working. At this rate, we'll never be able to kill them all. There are just too many of them. Outside the steel wall, the giant whale continued to ram against the structure. Wu Zi sent 3 monsters flying at once with a powerful spinning kick. He then shouted over the chaos to get his message across. It's the whale. It's making the breach in the wall wider. We have to find a way to stop it. If the monsters outside the wall manage to pour in, we're in serious trouble. Realizing the root of the problem, Mo Xiao Xiao took charge. Leave that monster to me. The rest of you, hold the line here. Don't let a single one get past you. As soon as she gave the order, One Bai and Mo Mai replied in unison. No problem. The monsters kept surging over the waves, rushing toward the wall. A powerful light flared from Mo Xiao Xiao's weapon, instantly stopping them in their tracks. One fell, crashing down right next to its comrade. A long streak of light zigzagged across the battlefield and sent the creatures flying in every direction. With her scythe in hand, she let out a powerful cry. Tianjibian. The whale had just emerged from the depths, only to be met by Mo Xiao Xiao, diving down from above. Reaper's scythe, a single, cold slash instantly cut in two. Its colossal body crashed down, creating violent tremors that shook the earth. She landed gracefully in its wake. Then she confidently declared, "You pieces of trash are not allowed to pass," looking down from above. The scene was one of utter chaos. Suddenly, the swarming monsters, their path now blocked, stopped moving. This confused the low-level sea god. Why did that entire mob outside just stop? He felt a flicker of annoyance. I told him to get on land and fast. Fine, I'll see for myself who dares to poach my fish. At that same moment, a monster lunged at Mo Xiao Xiao from behind, but her scythe cut it down on the spot. The two low-level sea gods witnessed the entire scene. Their mood soured. To think, as if sensing something, she whipped her head around. From high above, tentacles shot straight for her. Cornered, Xiao Xiao leaped into the air, dodging the deadly tentacles. Celestial Gambit. She took advantage of the momentum, firing a blast of energy toward the lesser sea god. It grazed his cheek before shooting up into the sky. Her attack took him by surprise. A streak of red blood stained his face, which had been flawless until now. The lesser sea god's eyes widened in fury. How dare you? After a brief pause, he raised his hands, conjuring spheres of energy as he spoke in a cold, menacing voice. You dare to injure me? You will pay dearly for this. Wrath of the sea god. In an instant, the attacks rained down on Xiao Zhao's position, setting off a thunderous explosion. Unfortunately, she took a direct hit from one of the powerful blasts. The force sent her reeling backward. She coughed up blood on impact. Seeing her falter, the monsters ferociously charged in for the kill. Gravely injured, Xiao Xiao was completely surrounded by them. Suddenly, a spinning kick tore through their ranks, saving her from the brink. Cyclone kick. Another person struck the air with an open palm. Dispelling palm. A powerful beam of light appeared, instantly piercing through the energy field, much to Xiao Zhao's astonishment. Next came a string of prayer beads, thrown from out of nowhere at the dazed monsters, followed by a decisive voice. Demon Sealing Rosary. At the command, the monsters instantly exploded into dust. Xiao Xiao stared in shock as the different techniques were unleashed one after another. It was her three allies, all arriving as reinforcements. And Wanzi even brought some good news. We've cleared out the back. She turned around, filled with gratitude. Everyone, Momai spoke, a little shyly, will hold the line here. When Bei stood with his hands clasped before his chest, his expression, one of profound pity. Umipa. Meanwhile, Wanzi called out with excitement. That flying squid in the sky is all yours, bolstered by their trust. She replied with a confident smile. The lesser sea god, furious that his attacks were blocked and that he'd been so insulted, had veins bulging on his forehead. A bunch of worthless ants. You don't know your place. All of you attack. At his command, the horde of monsters, baring their jagged teeth, swarmed forward. But they were nothing more than cannon fodder for Xiao Xiao to cut down. After carving a path forward, she shouted back with confidence. I'm leaving the rear to you all. No problem. Momai called out casually, his palms still striking out relentlessly. No problem. As for Wenbei, his prayer beads ensnared one monster after another as he calmly clasped his hands and chanted. Umiba, Umiba. On the front line, Xiao Xiao quickly closed in on the lesser sea god. Time to die. She raised her weapon high, her powerful voice ringing out. Reaper's blade. An ice-cold slash tore through the air. It was impossible to see what damage it had done to him. Meanwhile, elsewhere, A pair of hands swiftly cut two perfect slices of watermelon. Ingche hospitably offered one to the person beside him. Here, have a slice. The staff member immediately shouted in a panic. This is no time to be eating. Eating? Watermelon? A god. A god has descended. So please, we need to go now. The news struck him like a bolt from the blue, and his face went pale. Why are you just now telling me this? The man explained, exasperated. You never gave me a chance to. The battlefield was a grotesque scene of bloodied tentacles and octopus eyes scattered everywhere. Exhausted, Xiao Xiao knelt on the corpse of a sea monster, breathing a sigh of relief. Finally, it's over. In the viewing room, an announcer was stunned speechless. They. A moment later, his triumphant shout echoed throughout the entire arena. It worked. Once defeated, the two lesser avatars sank deep into the sea. With the last shred of my consciousness, with the utmost reverence, a ray of energy suddenly burst from the eye on its body after my desperate plea. Called upon your holy name. A pillar of blue light shot up from the whirlpool, piercing the heavens. Xiao Xiao spun around, her eyes fixed on the sight. What is that? Within the strange light, the body of the lesser sea god was slowly being pulled upward. Mysterious sigils appeared along with it. An immense and majestic figure now stood between heaven and earth. It stunned both the sea creatures and the humans into silence. Their faces, a mixture of anxiety and fear, instinctively turned to the sky. A man cried out in terror. It's a god. A real god has descended. They immediately fell to their knees in worship. May the gods protect us. But one man, still clear-headed, shouted angrily. You bunch of fools. He desperately tried to explain to the mesmerized crowd. Open your eyes and look closely. That's nothing but the shell of a demonic god. His authoritative voice echoed through the air. The taste of faith. The figure's form became clear, revealing none other than the sea god, Bak Tudong. His three-pronged trident appeared in his hand. His entire body glowed, a brilliant beacon against the grim backdrop of the battle. Through the monitor, Hushin instantly shouted, Stop him. Following his orders, the submarine moved quickly beneath the waves. Strategic missile, prepare to fire. 5, 4, 2, launch. The moment the command was given, the massive missile shot powerfully into the sky, tearing through the air as it sped toward Tudong. It exploded the instant it made contact, but Tudong remained standing, solemn amidst the billowing smoke. It was his turn to counterattack. He activated the lightning orb on his trident. Divine strike. Annihilation. The crew inside the submarine was thrown into absolute chaos. Unidentified energy signature detected. All hands attention. Emergency dive. Emergency dive. Before they could escape, they took a devastating hit. Tudong then aimed his weapon in another direction. This time, the great city wall exploded into rubble. Boulders of all sizes were sent flying toward Xiao Xiao. She leaped forward just an instant before being crushed. What the hell? The steel wall? It was destroyed just like that. She froze, noticing a massive boulder hanging right over her head. Damn it. I can't dodge it in time. A sharp voice rang out. Limitless slash. A flash of light instantly enveloped the boulder. A second later, it shattered into 4 pieces. In the end, Xiao Xiao was unharmed. Her eyes flew open in utter astonishment at the sight of the person before her. Ingche, sitting on the back of his mound, called out, This day has finally come. His expression hardened, tinged with a hint of worry as he continued. It's just earlier than I expected. Bolts of lightning tore across the sky as the city's terrified residents looked on. Look, the sky's turning red. Some curious onlookers filmed the scene with their phones. Others just stood and watched, completely stunned. The situation was pure chaos. Oh my God, what in the world is happening? A woman couldn't hide her terror as she cried out. Could it be what the national advisor said? That a god would descend? No, it can't be. A god has really descended? Meanwhile, in a classroom, an urgent voice crackled over the intercom. Announcement! Announcement! A god has descended to ensure the safety of all students, and with the approval of the Board of Education. For the next several school days, all classes are temporarily canceled. Even Bao Bao, who was focused on her schoolwork, stopped to listen. Attention all students, Please do not go outside. Please ensure your own safety. Her face. The little girl's expression went blank with worry as she whispered softly, Big brother. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a brilliant red light cast its glow upon curtains marked with strange sigils. In the very center, a book, surrounded by 5 stones, was undergoing a refinement process. A young man, standing guard nearby, was engrossed in his phone. Suddenly, a piercing screech echoed out of nowhere, causing his head to ache terribly. The pain was so intense he couldn't stay on his feet, dropping the object in his hand. The young man clutched his head, collapsing to his knees. His body trembled uncontrollably. Not long after, the fabric on his back began to tear apart. A scream tore through the air just as the flesh on his face peeled away, revealing a gruesome skull underneath. The door to the refinement chamber suddenly burst open. The mist demon stood frozen before the forbidden object. It snatched one of the refining stones and began to chew it ravenously. The link was broken, causing the remaining stones to lose their power and fall. The ownerless tome instantly regained consciousness. Someone who had just burst and shouted the news. This is bad. The apparatus has been destroyed. Before them was only the mist demon, which was turning to look at them. A panicked voice cried out, The forbidden object is gone. 2 red dots in the mist demon's dark, empty sockets stared intently, prompting one of the men to speak hastily. I'll stop it. You guys go inform the family head. A shimmering streak of light was zigzagging away from Jiangzhou City. The ownerless tome shot forward without a single glance back. It was feeling quite smug. I've gotten so far away. There's no way they'll catch me now. Now where should I go? But it had no idea it was already being tracked. The signals appeared. The commander eagerly gave the order. Go find it. Now. It's nearby. The other 2 responded in unison. Not far from there, at Yuanling Elementary School. Bao Bao stared glumly at the piece of paper in her hand. I wonder how Big Brother is doing. It was a letter from Ing Che. Little sis, Big Brother has to go save the world. Go bug the nice lady next door for some meals, okay? I already gave her a heads up. Big Bro is out of here. Love you. Out on the street. A member of the search team suddenly pointed to the sky. We've got the initial signal. This sent the ownerless tome into a panic. What the hell? How do they find me so fast? It held a digital tablet about to give a command. Chuni, hurry. Oh no, the skill is on cooldown. And with my best tricks unavailable. The ownerless tome immediately fell into a state of utter panic. What do I do now? Just then, Bao Bao, who was casually walking below, appeared in its line of sight. Without a moment's hesitation, the ownerless tome dove down at incredible speed, as if it had found its savior. Perfect. And so, it deftly slipped into the little girl's backpack. The 2 members of the search team were rushing toward Bao Bao's location. They ran right past the little girl without noticing anything unusual. Finally, they stopped in the middle of the road and shouted in frustration. The signal's too weak. We've lost the trail. It has to be somewhere around here. Their curses echoed across the grounds in front of Yuanling Elementary School. Damn it. It got away. Reporting to command. Operation Fei Xiong has failed. We've lost the target. Awaiting further instructions. An orb of energy continuously discharged bolts of lightning. Good Du aimed his trident, which channeled that power directly at Xiao Xiao. With this divine power, in 100 years, you might actually be able to put up a fight. His tone suddenly shifted. But right now, faced with the omnipotence of speed, you're as good as dead. Impossible. Is that a god? Not even a nuke could destroy him. He almost wiped us all out just now. After he spoke, a massive surge of energy ripped through the air. Wrath of the Sea God. Ing Che's eyes widened in horror as he followed the attack's trajectory. He saw it was headed straight for where Xiao Xiao was standing. He screamed out a warning. Watch out. But it all happened too fast. She could only stare, frozen, at the blinding light hurtling toward her. An earth-shattering explosion erupted instantly. Ing Che, carrying Xiao Xiao, shot out of the thick cloud of dust and smoke. He landed softly a short distance away. He had successfully brought Xiao Xiao to safety. He then scolded her in a stern voice. What are you doing spacing out on the battlefield? You got a death wish or something? She finally snapped out of it and looked up at Ing Che. This is... He gently set Xiao Xiao on the ground. He spoke in a calm, firm voice. This isn't a fight you people can get involved in. Then he left a final warning before turning to leave. If you want to live, then all of you get back. Hearing that, she immediately replied, got it. She couldn't help but feel surprised. It's like he's a completely different person. Dandan flew out of nowhere and chomped down on Tato's hand. You. He looked with disgust at the tiny thing gnawing relentlessly at him. A light flick of his wrist sent it flying to the ground. Dandan lay splattered on the cracked, waterlogged ground. Tato's attention was then drawn to a sharp, commanding voice. You vile demon, your rampage ends here. Surrender now. Before him stood not only Ing-che, but also another, larger figure behind him. This made Tato curious. And who are you? Why do I sense such a detestable aura from you? One that feels so familiar. He quickly got his answer. I am Neza, and today I will slay you, monster. In the observation room, Su Fan breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. He made it just in time. Beside him, Hu Shun was stunned. Is that? He guessed, looking at Neza on the screen. An Eastern god? Tato suddenly smiled, intrigued. An Eastern god? I thought you all had been wiped out. I never expected a remnant like you to still be around. He wasted no more words and immediately shouted. You're courting death. With that, Ing-che charged forward to attack. His spear was wreathed in crimson flames. Ing-che fearlessly launched his attack on Tato. His eyes flashed with determination as he roared. Take this. Then he activated his skill. Blazing Flame Storm. A powerful torrent of fire erupted. It slammed into his tentacles, causing a series of deafening explosions. Tato continued to direct his tentacles toward him. You worthless ants don't know your place. He then taunted mockingly as he saw Ing-che deftly dodge the blows. So this is all an Eastern god amounts to? All you could do is dodge. But Ing-che was no pushover and shot back. Huh, is this all you've got? He taunted while weaving gracefully between the attacks. You're all flash and no substance. A second later, he easily blocked a tentacle strike and continued his critique. Your moves are too slow. His eyes widened with excitement. A mischievous grin spread across his face. In a flash, Ing-che took advantage of the opening, running up Tato's tentacle, using it as a springboard to close the distance between them. Catching him off guard, he unleashed a vortex of fire. Fire-breaking storm wave. The attack struck Tato directly in the side of the neck, leaving a deep, gaping wound. But in the blink of an eye, it healed completely. Seeing this, Ing-che wasn't discouraged. In fact, he was thrilled. Don't tell me. He's a little dumb, but this is definitely getting interesting. He swiped at him instantly, but Ing-che slipped away. His lightning-fast reflexes allowed him to evade the blow. It's too big to destroy completely. I have to hit its weak spot. In the heat of battle, a fly buzzed in from out of nowhere. Zaidu was visibly growing irritated. Annoying little fly. The moment the words left his mouth, he attacked again. He countered by aiming his trident at the heavens. Wrath of the raging tides. Bolts of lightning instantly shot forth. The powerful shockwave sent people staggering and crashing to the ground. Taking advantage of the distraction, Ing-che deftly summoned his silk ribbons. They swirled and coiled around their target. Zaidu only realized something was wrong after the silks had already bound him. He stood frozen, trapped by ribbons from all sides. From a distance, a triumphant voice echoed. Now you're not going anywhere. The flaming spear was aimed squarely at his head. He announced in a low voice. Found your core. Then he drew the spear back, building momentum. His voice remained perfectly steady as he spoke. A perfect fusion of power and technique. Every throw reaches a new height. Once he'd gathered enough force, Ing-che hurled it through the air with all his might. Go! The spearhead struck the core. The impact created an earth-shattering explosion. Xiao Xiao shielded her face from the billowing dust. Her voice was filled with excitement. Did we win? Beside her, Wenbei, his expression serene and unwavering, put his palms together in prayer. Umipa, heaven and earth, be still. A fierce torrent of power crashed down, creating a terrifying explosion. The system's alerts chimed repeatedly. Warning, warning. Surrounding divine demonic energy is still rising rapidly. Enemy is extremely dangerous. Enemy is highly dangerous. Ing-che stared ahead, completely baffled. HM, a sharp, imposing aura radiated from Zaidu's eyes. Human, you are impressive. He stood upon a vortex of water, facing him. To think you could actually push me this far. I admit, you truly possess some skill. A dark power began to radiate from Zaydu's weapon. But all ends here. Today, you die. As he spoke, lightning crashed down, a threat to the insolent mortal. Che's expression remained unbothered. Anyone can talk big. He issued his challenge. Let's see you try. In an instant, they charged at one another. He rushed to parry the blow. So fast. The force of their attacks sent massive tremors through the ground. Zaydu relentlessly hounded Che. A smug grin spread across his face. Weren't you so arrogant a moment ago? Suddenly, Zaydu knocked the spear from his grasp. He lunged forward. Let's see how you fight without a weapon. See God's ossuary. Giant skeletons materialized and swarmed toward Che. The Lin's seal. To understand one's place between heaven and earth. To be one with the origin of all things. For humanity stands at its center, completing the trinity of heaven, earth, and man. The Lin seal is to perceive heaven and earth, to perceive nature, and to perceive the true essence of the self that resides at its very core.